right, so 3, 2, 1. Jack Mouse, how you doing, my friend?
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. we've known each other. Did we first meet at the Naperville store, probably?
Naperville store, yeah.
Yeah, a while back, and you were teaching over there
at
in
North
Naperville.
Central.
Yeah, North Central, where we had a lot of people come out to the jam session sometimes.
A lot of my students.
And I'm still in touch with some of those guys.
Yeah, me too.
Very nice. So yeah, this is just kind of want to go into to like about you. Like, tell me where'd you grow up? How'd you get into music when you were young?
Well, I grew up in kind of a small town in Kansas, up in the Flint Hills, Emporia. I started playing when I was 4.
Musical family or
No, my father was a car dealer.
okay?
He was a Chrysler dealer there.
Sure.
It was a university town. Emporia was a university town. So culturally, it was a very nice, very good place to grow up. And actually, it was Roy Burns' hometown.
Oh, very cool.
And Roy was my first teacher.
It's a small world, I guess.
It is. He was my first teacher. Took care of me till the day he died. The arts are very much like a family.
Sure.
I had musical mothers and musical fathers.
Yeah, it's a very small community.
Aunts and uncles and musical children. And now I find it disturbing that I have musical grandchildren.
Sure.
Which that's like a cold splash of water in the face every now and then when I run into. Said, "Oh yeah, my dad studied with you."
Sure.
Or
that means people remember you though, which is like that means you're doing something right, I think.
Yeah, I'm real proud of. There are people who, in your life, and you've had them, well, you've got one, and you don't have to be adopted, right? But they adopt you, and it's not like they're employers or teachers. They actually take you into their musical family. Mm. And they entrust you. You become part of their musical bloodline. And you're expected to protect the nobility of that bloodline.
Sure.
So I've had some great musical fathers and mothers. My first, Roy was my first one. And again, he didn't just teach me how to play. He taught me how to live, and how to handle yourself in the business of music. Mm-hmm.
He was your first teacher, or one of the first teachers you had?
No, he was my first teacher.
Well, how did you come across him?
Small town.
Sure. Bound to run into each other.
They had a city band there, a municipal band, and I don't remember any of this. This is all hearsay from my parents, and
sure.
But they would go to the park concerts, and I would watch Roy play, I guess, And they finally, and I started banging around on things at home.
Sure.
And like we all did, and
I was surrounded by drums myself. So.
Oh well, yeah, there you go. I mean, you didn't need to, right?
There was one point actually where my father did not have a single drum set. He had cymbals, but he didn't have any.
I can't
drums.
Imagine that.
Yeah, believe it or not, that's when I was very young. But then, by the time I was about 6, there was a time when you just had cymbals.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
This would be about 34 years ago, something like that. Not even
that's
that long.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
wow.
He's still I think he still played a little bit, probably practiced,
Well,
he went to shops.
My parents, everybody in town knows everybody, right?
Sure.
And my parents knew Roy's father was a butcher at Rebel's grocery store.
Nice.
And his mother was a waitress in town.
Ah.
And my parents knew her, and so they asked her about if Roy was teaching. He's 11 years older than I am. Mm-hmm. And he was teaching at a music store there, and my parents asked his mother if he would be interested. And she said, well...
you remember the music store's name?
Lennigan Music Company.
Okay. Somebody listening might know of that place. It's possible.
It was a center for musicians.
Sure.
The story is going to lead to the fact that another one of my musical fathers was the band director there. His name was Ormond Parker.
And this is not a school band. This is a
No, he was a high school band director there.
okay, high school. All right. I wasn't
High
sure if
school-
it was
high
you were
school
talking
and
about, like,
junior
the
high.
municipal band or something.
Well, he conducted that too.
Oh, okay, very cool. Small town.
You know, he was the conductor in town. You know,
Sure.
and like I say, it was a very Emporia State University is a very well known university with a good music department and things like that. So,
Yeah.
but that particular band director turned out more professional musicians than anybody I've ever run into. So many professional musicians came out of that high school.
Yeah.
Johnny Mahan. Johnny Mahan was a clarinet soloist with the Navy Band and ended up being a very busy studio saxophone player.
Very nice. So he was
not just
he was
jazz,
inspirational
not just jazz musicians,
person.
but
Yeah.
yeah. And he turned out Roy. He turned out Marshall McNutt, who was a classmate of Roy's. Marshall was the trumpet soloist on Perez Prado's Cherry Pink and Apple Blossom White.
Okay.
You know, he turned out Kathy Nixon, who was I believe she was with the Denver Symphony French horn player. Carl Vail, a baritone soloist with the Navy Band.
What was he like? Was he very strict, or was he more just kind of showing people the wonders of music?
He was
and-
pretty strict.
Sure. Yeah. That's pretty common in that role.
Of that, and not only that, but Ormond played every instrument in the band
Sure.
better than the first chair player.
Nice.
That's a dead breed. They're gone.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see that again.
Very rare, probably.
Yeah.
there are some. I know some people that would really. This one guy he's from Oak Park. I won't even say his name, but he lives out in New York now, and he can play every instrument. Every instrument. I mean,
Yeah.
like he's really good at piano and guitar and bass. But then you throw him pretty much any other instrument, he can at least, you know.
Oh no, I do a lot of work with
mostly
Scott.
an organ
Janice and
player,
I do a lot of work with
church
Scott
stuff.
Robinson out of New
Okay,
York.
sure.
We have a group called Three Story Sandbox, and Scott's one of those multi instrumentalists. You know,
Sure.
you can't really tell what instrument is his major instrument.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you
But,
ever?
but Ormond was that way, and he turned out Roy. He turned out. I mean, I could go on. I mentioned Lenigan Music Company.
Right.
Rosalie Lenigan, the wife, during World War II, you know, most of the men were drafted. So they put together these all-girl orchestras.
Okay.
There was a group of African-American females called the Sweethearts of Rhythm, I think.
Cool.
They sounded like Duke Ellington, man.
Nice.
Was amazing. And Rosalie ended up being the pianist with the Ada Leonard Band, which was a big name all-girl orchestra during World War II.
Cool.
So all of these people came out of that. It's kind of like a club. Those that are still alive, we stay in contact with each other.
Sure.
And we talk about Ormond and the days. And we thought that all high schools must be like that.
Sure.
Then we found out that they weren't. You know, this was a very special place to be.
Did you have a jazz band in high school? Most
No.
schools didn't at
No.
that point. Pretty much.
No.
My dad always talks about how he started his own jazz band at his high school. Did you do something like that?
No, Ormond ran a summer program.
Okay. And this maybe is what introduced you to
And
jazz playing.
we didn't have charts or anything, but they had these books called Dixieland Favorites
Oh, nice.
and Combo Orcs.
Okay.
And so we'd sit around and whack away on those things and
Sure.
and you'll play Saints Go Marching In and Tiger Rag and all those things.
Yeah.
You know. But
Fun music.
Bob Lenigan ran a territory band called the Counts,
Okay.
which was a big band.
Territory band.
Yeah,
This is
it was a band that played
Term you
within
should
about a
describe.
4 or 5 state area.
Okay. Yeah.
18-piece band made up mainly of high school band directors from the area. Mm-hmm. But these weren't regular high school band directors. Another one of Ormond Parker's children was a guy named Marion Plummer, who was a trombonist, and he was Doc Severinsen's roommate
Sure.
on the Randy Brooks band. So these guys, Ed Wertman was the trumpet player. He played with the Dorsey band, and he's another one of Orman Parker's students.
Sure.
And all these guys were in this band. And Roy played in that band. When Roy got out, I started playing with that band when I was 14, and went all over the place, And I taught at the music store. And
So 14.
Yeah.
That's great. You were kind of driving around like in the four-state
Bob
area or so.
would book a thing, and we'd say, we got a thing up in Topeka, Forbes Air Force Base at the Officers Club.
Yeah.
I'll pick you up, and we'll drive up there, and
Very cool.
So yeah, I was trained by. I had all these influences of professional musicians around me the whole time, and
Very
didn't
nice
appreciate
way
it until years later, when I thought, my God, what would have happened if those guys hadn't been there for me?
Sure. So did you learn to read music pretty early on then?
Yeah,
Then that would be maybe
yeah.
that band directors
That and my parents
influence. yeah.
insisted that I also learn to play piano.
Oh, great! I was going to ask you. Yeah, have you done any multi-instrumental?
I play enough piano. I have arranger's chops.
Sure.
I play enough piano that I can write music
Sure. Yeah.
and that kind of thing. I have, embarrassingly so, played a gig or two on piano that didn't work out so well.
Sure.
But it was mainly because somebody got sick at the last minute and I had to jump in and play.
Yeah. Just fill in. Sure. I'll sit in on piano sometimes at jam sessions.
Boy, I don't do that. That would scare me to death.
It usually, well, actually, I'm getting to the point now where I can pretty much play by ear most of the time, as long as they're not expecting me to know every head.
Oh no.
I'm getting into
I can
older
get
jazz
I can
lately.
get through. I don't sight read chord changes particularly well,
Sure.
but if it's a simple tune like a simple standard,
Yeah.
I got rhythm, all those kinds of tunes, I can get through them.
Sure.
But
To really feel comfortable, I feel like you got to memorize it.
well, I
really
really
play it.
didn't like the fact that my parents were making me play the piano
Oh, sure.
because I wanted to practice drums all day, But it was the best thing that ever happened. In fact, Roy studied from this same lady. He studied piano,
Okay.
and her name was Geraldine Penna.
Oh, wow.
And
So it's like your first music teacher in general
well,
that you
she
did
and
like
Roy.
private lessons with. Yeah.
she and Roy, and then Orman.
Your background isn't that dissimilar from mine, actually. Yeah, I played piano a lot. That was like classical piano was kind of the stepping stone, and then I got into drums.
Everybody should. I think piano is the mother instrument when it comes to writing.
It's percussion,
It is.
yeah, and strings
It
at
really,
the same time.
It really is.
Yeah.
So there are things that. Well, I look at Jack DeJohnette,
Sure.
marvelous pianist.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've heard a record of him playing piano.
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
he had an album out that's just him playing piano,
Cool.
and then he did a. You remember Marion McPartland had a radio show,
Sure, yeah.
and he was on that playing piano duets with Marion.
What was it called?
I can't remember it. It
Something
was out of
jazz?
Boston, I think.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But
I got to see her play.
And
once,
there are
actually.
things when I'm playing that I hear something harmonically that triggers something for me to play on the instrument.
Right.
So I think those of us who've had some sort of piano harmonic background are influenced by harmony in a
Absolutely.
very left of center way.
Well, yeah, and if you're reading a chart even, and you get maybe lost a little bit, you can hear the form,
Yeah.
so you kind of can get back.
Well,
and so
you
don't
got to know
miss
the
coda
forms,
or
man.
something. Sure. Yeah.
So
Drummers have to know where they are.
I was very fortunate in order to be brought up
Sure.
around those people,
Yeah.
from such a young age.
Definitely.
Actually, my first jobs weren't with this band. There was
This is like non-musical gigs you're talking about?
no.
First music jobs.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I was about 11. Well, my Aunt Hannah McCosh, she was my great aunt. She was my grandfather's sister, and she played piano by ear.
Couldn't read music.
No, but anything she heard, she could play.
That's
I
awesome.
remember sitting in her kitchen while she was canning vegetables and things,
Sure.
and she would hear something on the radio, and she'd say, "Oh, well, that's pretty," and she'd go over to the piano and play the damn thing.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
For a long time, I thought that's how music was made.
Sure.
That's not. So she ran a band that played every other week at the Emporia Community Center for the Over 40 Club.
All right.
And I thought, God, those people are old.
Yeah, sure.
And she had a
I'm
drummer
40
with
now,
her.
pretty much.
His name was Emmett Ingle.
Sure.
And Emmett was a carpenter in town. And he had one of those bass drums with a waterfall on it.
Right.
And so Emmett would bring me up and let me play a little bit.
Wait, explain the waterfall.
Oh, it had a light in the inside of the bass drum that rotated, and there was a waterfall on the painting of a waterfall.
Oh,
and
okay.
the light would,
Yeah,
there you go.
I know exactly what you mean, right?
Yeah, and at Christmas time, he had a bass drum head that had a head of a Santa Claus painted on it,
Nice.
with a bell.
Okay. So,
And when he hit the bass drum, the bell would ring.
cool.
But I learned a lot of standards from playing with her. When Emmett retired, I was still like 7 or 8 years old and started playing with her there.
Sure.
And then there was a guy in town. His name was Chuck Cowan, and who was a marvelous musician.
Okay. What did he play?
But he was a guitar player and a singer.
All right.
And he played all kinds of music. I mean, I remember when Blood, Sweat, and Tears were around, he could sound and sing like David Clayton Thomas, man. It was amazing.
Cool.
Great musician.
I listened to that a lot. growing up.
He ended up in L.A. doing a lot of work out there. He was probably 8 or 9 years older than me, and he had a brother named Roger.
Okay.
And that's cattle country out there, so there's a lot of rodeos.
Sure.
And my first gig was playing with the Cowan brothers for rodeos.
Cool.
It was great. And
Rodeos,
country
wow.
westerns, country western swing bands, they can swing you into bad
So
health.
what's a tune you guys would play in that band?
San Antonio Rose and
So this is like called like Western swing. It's
Yeah.
like it's kind of
it's not really country music.
Right, I know exactly
it's
what you're
Western
talking about.
swing.
It's
like
a cool genre. It's a really
Sons
cool
of the
genre.
Pioneers and all those guys, man.
Yeah.
And these guys could swing.
Yeah. We might have even talked about this a little bit last time you were here. Yeah, that
Well, we would play the rodeo in the afternoon,
nice.
up in the above the thing, and then at night we go to some Quonset hut and play for the rodeo dance.
Okay.
And the scene in the Blues Brothers where they're playing behind the chicken wire?
Sure. Classic.
Yep, I did that.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I was.
So if they like it, they throw more bottles.
I don't.
Is that how it works?
I was never got involved with that, but I knew what it was for.
Sure. They don't really throw that many bottles though. That was.
I've heard tales that actually happened, but I was never on a job that happened.
You guys drank
And Chuck and Roger,
$350 worth of beer.
really, Chuck and Roger sometimes wouldn't get along, and they'd disappear on breaks.
Okay.
And Roger was younger than Chuck, but we'd start the next set and they'd be wiping blood off their noses and things.
Jeez.
And I
pretty intense,
would turn
man.
to the steel player when I first started doing this. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, they didn't like one of them didn't like the way the other one was playing, so they went out and pounded on each other."
Jeez.
And I said, "Well, shouldn't we put a stop to this?" He says, "You don't want to get involved in that." And they'd be there wiping blood off and play. It was
That's fun.
interesting way to grow up.
What a story.
But rodeo bands playing Western swing. Those guys can play, man.
Yeah.
Steel players, the steel
Did
players.
violin as well?
Roger doubled bass and fiddle. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Fiddle. That's
yeah.
the proper way to say it.
Yeah.
I don't know what a violin
And he
is.
held it down here, not here. He put it
Okay.
down here,
Yeah, cool.
And both of them were really good musicians.
That's-
good readers,
Nice.
And
Yeah, it's cool
Chuck played and sang in another group up at the college called the Five Guys, which did for freshman material.
Okay.
So he was that versatile,
Yeah. That's great.
So growing up, I can't imagine having a better musical background before,
Sure.
you know, it was really quite amazing.
That's awesome. It's so cool to. I mean, yeah, you've never told me any of these stories before. Really interesting.
Well,
stuff.
we never had that kind of time.
Yeah, for sure. You always, pop in for a little bit, talk
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for all the cool stories. So then when did you move from Texas or which state were you in? Sorry,
Kansas.
Kansas. You moved from Kansas eventually, and then where'd you end up next?
Well, I went back to Berklee for another one of my musical fathers was a guy named John Laporta.
Okay.
And John Laporta was one of the founding faculty members of Berklee School of Music.
Sure, I've heard the name before. I think.
Oh yeah, I mean
sure,
he
yeah. I don't really know anything about
he
him, but
played with Woody Herman. He played with Mingus.
yeah, nice.
In Mingus's one of Mingus's biographies, he says he learned more from John Laporta than John Laporta ever learned from him.
Oh yeah.
But John, I was what they call a camp baby.
Okay.
In the early 60s, Stan Kenton started the Stan Kenton Clinics, which were the first jazz camps.
Okay, Stan Kenton.
Yeah, they were called the Kenton Clinics. And they were held all over the United States. There was one in Bloomington, Indiana, one in Denver. And I started going to those.
Was it like similar to like Abersol type deal, maybe?
Oh, no, absolutely.
The way he
the Abersol,
approached it?
It came out of that.
That's kind of what
In
I was,
fact, when
yeah.
Stan left, it became the Summer Jazz Clinics,
Okay.
which was associated. That was the big band camps, and Jamie was the Abersol camp. Yeah, those all came out of the Kenton mold.
Wow.
So, but I went back there. I was 14,
Sure.
and my parents put me on a train in Emporia, Kansas, and I took the train to Bloomington, Indiana, with my drums.
Wow.
And
Can't travel lightly if you're a drummer.
And I had, because I studied with Roy, for my age, I had pretty good hands. But I had, when you're 14, you have to let everybody know you have pretty good hands, right?
Sure. Yeah, you want to prove
So,
yourself.
yeah, I don't know what you're doing, but I ended up in the #1 band
Nice.
at the Kenton Clinics, mainly with college guys.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I thought, man, I'm in hog heaven, man. So I was in the #1 band, which was led by Buddy DeFranco. He was on faculty for the camps. Mm-hmm. And then they had what they called the head band. And the head band was a big band, was an improvising band, made up and playing head arrangements, led by John Laporta. So, man, I finished. Johnny Richards was. I'm sorry, it wasn't Buddy DeFranco. Johnny Richards had the #1 band.
Okay.
So the first day I went through Johnny Richards, thinking, man, look at me, and
You feeling good about yourself?
yeah, man. So I went in. I'm setting up for the head band, and I start playing, and John cuts off the band. And he walked back to me and he said, "Let me see your left." He had this. I hear that man's voice in my head every day. He said, "Let me see your left stick."
Okay.
And I thought, that's cool. This old man wants to know what kind of sticks I use, man. So I handed him my left stick. And he said, "Let me see your bass drum beater." I thought, okay, this is weird. But I reached down and loosened, handed him the beater. And he kept him. He turned around, and on his way back to his music stand, he looked at me and he says, "Now play."
Yeah, that's one way to do it. That's funny. So you
And
were overplaying a little bit in his opinion.
Totally embarrassed.
Oh man.
I'm thinking, you nasty old man, let me take your reeds away from you. See how you play them. But
Sure.
I was just angry.
Right.
But John started the band, and for the first time, I swung like I'd never swung before.
Yeah, yeah.
And after he kept my stick and my beater the whole
Sure.
rehearsal. And he comes back to me afterwards, the rehearsal, and he says, "Point I'm trying to make. If you can't influence the band time-wise, feel-wise, and dynamically with your right hand and your left foot, there's something missing in your playing."
Oh, sure, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's,
Holy cow.
sounds like a really
Well,
fantastic
John ended up sort of adopting me, making me part of his musical family, got me my scholarship to Berklee, Then when I got out of the Air Force, John got me on the National Stage Band Camp faculty
Nice.
with him.
Were you in the Air Force?
I was with the Falconaires, the Air Force Academy Falconaires.
So it's a band? I don't know anything
Big
about
band, yeah.
it. Oh, so you got to play like
Oh,
jazz
absolutely.
stuff in there. Oh, that must have been cool.
Oh, no, it was an amazing band.
Yeah,
the
that's awesome.
The bands during Vietnam were incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in a band with Bill Stapleton. Frank Mantooth was my best man.
Were you always in the States, or did you go to like Germany? Or?
Oh, we were all over the place. We were on the road 9 months out of the year.
Jeez, yeah, you've done a lot of
Stationed at the Air Force Academy. We
seen
had
a lot
our
of cool stuff.
we had
Traveling the world in the
we had,
70s and 80s, maybe. Yeah,
well, I was in '69 through '73,
that's cool.
and military bands were incredible at that time because of the draft.
Yeah,
You know,
there were lots of competition.
everybody, but I
All the
mean,
best
I
musicians.
couldn't believe it. You know,
If you got drafted and you didn't sign up, could you then afterwards say, "Hey, I'm a musician. I want to be in the band," and audition?
no,
You got drafted. You were going to the
you were going to the Army,
right.
and I didn't want to do that. So when it was very interesting the way that
You just
happened.
Did the safe route, and you just
I
signed
was
up for the band
because of the camps and things, and by the time I was getting out of college, by the time I was 19 and 20, I was playing with Red Norvo, I was playing with Peanuts Hucko, I was playing with Tex Beneke.
Cool.
So you meet a lot of guys, you know.
Sure.
I was playing with Buddy Morrow. I mean, I ended up. I was at Berklee. I stayed at Berklee for a very short time. I went back there to study with Alan Dawson,
Okay.
and Alan had just taken
So this is like 69?
64.
64. Okay, a little bit earlier.
He had just replaced Joe Morello with the Brubeck Group.
Nice.
Well, he was gone all the time,
Sure.
and he would come in for a couple of days and give you a bunch of stuff to work on, and then he'd come in a month later, and I finally went to John. I said, John, I can't learn this way.
Sure.
He says, I understand. So I transferred back to the College of Emporia, my hometown. And at that time, that music department was incredible. That college hosted the first collegiate jazz festival in Kansas
Oh, okay.
and brought in, that's where I met Clark Terry,
Nice.
Doc Severance, and I played with Doc there. And Buddy Morrow came in, and he was as a guest artist for the festival.
Wow.
And I'm playing, and I was down in a practice room after rehearsal because I wanted to play good that night, man. So I'm down in a practice room.
So you were like warming up for that?
Yeah, I
Sure.
was just practicing. That's what I did. You know, that's what you do. You just practice.
Do you,
man.
to this day, like, take us a little side route, do you, before a really, like, big performance, do you think it's good to shed a lot before it or to not shed a lot right
Doesn't matter.
right
I
before
practiced. I practiced 3 hours a day every day,
Either way, yeah, kind of the same.
Doesn't matter.
for you. Nice. That's awesome.
and I just do
man.
it because I like to practice. I like the
Yeah.
feel of the wood in my hands.
Sure. It's a great activity. Yeah.
I mean, it's
it's way better than just about any other thing.
well.
you
Janice will
spend
tell you
your
if I don't
free time
practice,
doing.
I'm hard to get along with.
You know, I'm kind of the same way. If I don't play at maybe a gig, I really like playing gigs like in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't do that for every month I don't play a gig, I get more.
Oh, the
more-
pandemic was awful.
yeah, right on, man. That's exactly where I was going. Yeah, I didn't play for like
Luckily,
a
because
year
Janice
at all.
and I, because
It's going
Janice
nuts.
and I live in the same house and we're both musicians,
Sure.
we were able to play together,
Right,
and
right.
do duet things, and that's
I was still able to do stuff here at least
So anyway,
at the shop.
I get done practicing and I walk out of the practice room, and Buddy Morrow's standing in the hallway,
Right.
and he said, "What are you doing over Christmas?" I said, "I don't know, Mr. Morrow." He says, "Would you like to come on my band for a week?" I said, "Yeah."
Sure.
So I
Done
went
deal.
on, I went on
Easy
Buddy's
answer.
band, and we were playing in Denver. And Buddy said, and Buddy was again somebody who really kind of took care of me, not a musical father, but he took care of me. And he said, Peanuts Hucko owns a club here in Denver called the Navarra Club. And Red Norvo is the vibist, and Maury Feld is the drummer, and Dave McKenna is the pianist, and Bill Bastian is the... So after the gig, he says, why don't we go over and see him?
Yeah.
So he took me and two or three other guys in, and he said hi to Peanuts, and so I sat in,
Sure.
and about a month later, I get a call in Emporia from Peanuts. He said, Jack, Maury Feld's got to take 2 weeks off. Would you want to drive to Denver and play for 2 weeks with the band? Oh my gosh, I was 20,
Sure.
I said, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'd be okay. You gotta hang out with you guys for a little bit.
And I mean, playing with Red Norvo,
Sure.
my God.
Yeah.
My God, I've been so fortunate to be in the right place. Timing is everything, timing and placement.
Sounds like you work
So-
hard though, persistent. You're always getting out there. You're not being lazy. It sounds like you're. I mean, if you.
Oh,
yeah,
no, I wasn't raised not to be lazy by
Right.
professional musicians.
That's really important.
John Laporta used to say, if you're late, you're late. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time.
Especially as a drummer, yeah. First person there, last person
Last
to
to
leave.
leave. And so,
I usually, if it's a gig and they're like paying me, I usually like 3 hours. I shoot to get there 3 hours before, because then something can happen.
I don't do that.
Still
I
be
don't do
late.
that. I'm there an hour before.
Yeah. I think I have to do that for myself.
I know.
Because even though I'm shooting for 3 hours, it doesn't
I
always
understand
end
it
up like
perfectly.
that. Yeah, that's something to to think about. If you're,
So it
musicians who are
got to be a thing where I was about to get out of college. I was about to graduate,
sure.
and I got a call from
And this was from that same school that you
College of Emporia,
had been. Yeah.
which is now defunct. It was a private college,
Oh, okay.
and Marion Plummer was the jazz band director. I did so.
Yeah. you
Anyway,
told- got the whole
I
background.
get a call from Larry Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Larry from the camps when we were in high school together. And
What does Larry play?
Larry's a trumpet player, but he was leading the NORAD Commanders, which was another great military jazz band in Colorado Springs.
Okay. Is that just that they didn't have anything to do with NORAD? It was just kind of a.
Oh, no, they were...
North?
No, that was their band. It was the NORAD band.
Okay.
So there were guys in the band from... It was a multi-service band. There were guys from the Air Force, from the Navy, from the Army, in the NORAD band.
Remember what that stands for? I can't remember.
North...
It's how we make sure we don't get hit by missiles.
Something
or
defense. Oh yeah, Cheyenne Mountain is where everything
Right.
is.
Yeah.
And they were stationed.
We'll look that up later.
They were stationed, headquartered out of Peterson Field in Colorado Springs.
Wow.
So Larry called me and said, "Jack, are you about to get out of school?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Are you draft bait?" And I said, "I sure am."
So back then, once you get out of college and graduate, then isn't there? Don't they sometimes? You could be an officer though. I think, right?
Not in the band.
Not in the band.
Not in the band.
Right.
No, those were all in. Now, so he said, and Steve Bohannon was the drummer with the NORAD band,
Right.
with the Commanders. And, his father was Boyd Bohannon, uncle was Boyd Bohannon and all. And he was one of the drummers with Don Ellis's big band before he got drafted, before he had to go in.
Okay.
The NORAD band, the Commanders were out in Los Angeles recording, and Steve was killed in a car accident.
Oh, that sucks.
He says, "Can you come in?" And he says, "Can you come out?"
Yeah.
So
I
I jumped
appreciate everyday life.
in my Barracuda and drove to Denver. It's an 8-hour drive.
Nice.
And I knew everybody there. I knew
Barracuda. What's a Barracuda? It's a.
Plymouth Barracuda.
I'm thinking it's like kind of like a sporty car, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I have an image of it.
It was
in
a
my head.
1969 Barracuda with a 340
It's
engine
been a
in
fun drive. Yeah.
And so I drove out there, and it wasn't an audition. I knew everybody. Bill Stapleton was there, Jim Scajari. I knew all those guys.
Nice.
So it wasn't an audition.
Sure.
And Larry said, "Can you come in right now?" And I said,
all your pals.
Larry, I've got one more semester before I graduate. I got to see this thing through.
Sure.
And he said, "Well, he says, if I bring someone in from a field band, I have to keep them for a year. He said, let me call your draft board and see if they will defer you for that year. And he called my draft board and they said, oh, no. He said, once he's graduated, he's ours.
Oh, sure.
So I said,
they want you on the front lines.
Man, this isn't going to work, is it? And he said, no. He said, but let me call over to the Air Force Academy. So he called over to the academy, and he comes back and he says, they've got a position open in the drum corps, the Air Force Drum Corps over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped in my car, drove over to the academy, and met Sergeant Radomski, played some rudiments, and he says, yeah, you're in.
Ah, nice.
I said, cool.
Easiest audition ever.
Cool.
So you had one semester of school left.
Yeah.
And then instead of doing that semester, you joined up.
I went into
in the band.
I went into the Air Force Academy Drum Corps.
Oh, okay.
The Air Force Drum Corps.
How many years did you do in that? Was it 4?
Oh, no.
Or?
I was only there one season, about 6 months.
Oh, 6 months. Oh, okay.
And they transferred me into the Falconaires, into the jazz band. So I went into the Air Force Drum Corps for a season, and the word kind of got around. In the bands there, you have to know that Colorado Springs is a military town.
Mm-hmm.
There's Fort Carson, which is the largest.
One of my good friends ended up there, actually. She lives there right now with her husband.
Oh, well, it's one of the largest supply depots for the Army.
Yeah.
There's Ent Air Force Base, which is...
I think they're there, but they're around there.
Yeah.
The exact base, yeah.
Ent Air Force Base is the pay headquarters for the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
There's Peterson Field, which is a landing field. There's the Air Force Academy. There's NORAD.
Yeah.
Well, all of these have officers' clubs and NCO clubs. So the guys in the band would put together little groups to go out and make extra money playing at these things.
Oh, okay.
So they started hiring me.
Nice.
And the Falconaires were really starting to kick and traveling a lot. And the drummer there was a career player. He was in for 20. His name was Bill Barber.
By career, do you mean like career military guy?
Yeah, he was going to stay for 20.
That was just his plan, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
The rest of us, we were first termers, and once my 4 years was up, I'm out of there.
Sure.
Frank Mantooth, out of there. Bill Stapleton, out of there.
I never did military time, so I don't know how
I don't
I'd
regret
it.
I'm proud of what I did there.
Sure.
I don't regret it. So Bill didn't want to travel that much because he had a family.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also playing in the concert winds, the Air Force concert band.
Right.
So I got called into the major's office, Major Thurston's office. He was the band squadron leader there. And I thought, why am I being called into the,
Sure.
what have I done wrong? And I went in, and he said, Sergeant Mouse, would you be interested in transferring over to the Falconaires? I said, yeah, but what about Sergeant Barber? And he said, Sergeant Barber has recommended you to take his place.
Ah, all right.
He saved my life.
Yeah.
I spent 4 years playing with one of the best bands in the world.
And this is where you were traveling a lot.
Oh, yeah. And we had,
That's great.
and recording a lot.
Do you have any of these recordings?
Oh, I have them all.
Oh, you gotta share one with me.
I'll do that.
Where people can get to them. I can put up a link or something. I'm not sure if they're
No, in fact, the band had a
available.
weekly radio show on the Monitor
Okay.
stations called Off We Go. So we spent a lot of time in Las Vegas
Nice.
and in Los Angeles recording and making records
Sure.
and doing soundtracks for Air Force promotional films. We did a great thing called Ambassadors in Blue.
Did you get a lot of freedom to kind of like, because you're still in the Air Force, so was it real strict, like the schedule? Did you guys like start recording at like 7 a.m.?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
sometimes.
you didn't want to mess around, man.
Sure.
You didn't want to mess around. That was I went in, everybody at the Air Force Academy.
What I guess I'm really asking is like, was it a really regimented lifestyle, or were you able to like kind of have enough of your own time to go out and enjoy like music and stuff like that
sure.
on your own?
Oh, no, when we were in L.A., or we would we'd record during the day, and we'd go out at night and see music, and
Nice.
no, and in Vegas, my God,
Have a good time. Yeah, that's where I'm asking, because
Oh,
you got
my
to hang out in
good
Vegas
Lord.
in the 70s.
No,
It's kind of fun.
Frank Mantooth and I were roommates for 4 years,
Okay.
and Frank and I did some crazy things, man.
Sure.
We had a day off in Vegas, and at the time, Pancho Gonzalez, the great tennis player,
Okay.
was
Not familiar
giving
with him.
tennis lessons at Caesar's Palace.
Oh, okay.
So Frank and I decided, let's go.
I love tennis. This is one of my favorite
He
sports.
said, let's go. Frank and I were playing tennis at the time, and Frank says, let's go take a
A lesson.
a tennis lesson.
Sure.
So we went in there, were whacking the ball around and just being nuts.
Was he like incredible the way the guy?
Oh yeah, I mean, but we were just screwing around. He knew we were screwing around, and he was having a good time with us.
You were like the spin.
So we get done, and
spin
we're
ball.
walking through Caesar's Palace, and Caesar's Palace at that time had hired Joe Louis, the boxer, as a greeter.
Oh, okay.
So we're walking through, and there's Joe Louis shaking
his-
hands with everybody.
So he wasn't fighting anymore.
No. He's quite elderly.
Yeah.
But Frank looked at me and he says, "Well,"
Cool, he got a job doing that.
he said, "Well, we just played tennis with Pancho Gonzalez." He says, "You want to go pick a fight with Joe Louis?"
Sure.
So
The
it
best
was
bouncer
really
ever, because no
it was
one would
really a
ever
wonderful way to, and not only that,
even risk it.
we made a lot of contacts. I mean, a lot of we did an album called Sketches with Sammy Nestico, Herb Ellis, Dick Nash.
Wow.
We did albums with all these guys.
So this wasn't Air Force involved. This
Oh, yeah, it
just- Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
That's great. And so they had their primary mission was just to kind of provide entertainment to the
It was
a
well, we played a lot of professional jazz festivals as guests.
Sure.
A lot of school jazz festivals, a lot of civic things, a lot of POW MIA rallies, prisoners of war, missing in action rallies,
Oh, geez, yeah, that sounds.
which were very sad,
I don't even know what that
But it was
really
a public
is.
relations group for the Air Force.
Right. Is that just when people can come together who
Yeah.
know someone who's missing in action?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of.
yeah, and those were very,
Yeah, I can imagine.
uh,
At least maybe you brought them some,
yeah, some relief.
Yeah, with some good music. Yeah.
And the band
Therapeutic
was
music.
so good.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an arranging staff for that band. Frank Mantooth,
Wow.
Dave Belanger, John Lawson, Dale Chamberlain. That's all these guys did. They played in the band, but they were paid to write.
Sure.
And we got new charts every week. It
Yeah.
was amazing.
What are some tunes you guys were like?
Well, Frank Mantooth did
Great
a
arrangement of a tune that.
a tune that you guys might know. I remember Dave Belanger did a great thing on Smiling Phases, the Ides of March tune, So we did like big band rock things.
I don't know that tune, but I think I'd recognize it.
We did. We also had to play cadet dances at the
Okay.
Air Force Academy. So we had a dance band book, and we would also
was
they would
fun.
bring us into like Nellis Air Force Base to play the general's birthday party.
Sure. What kit did you have? What kit did they provide?
I was using it was my own,
Okay.
and I had a great set of Rogers.
Rogers.
I had a Dynasonic snare.
Very nice.
It was a Rogers
Did you have to have like
white marine pearl.
the colors of the?
No.
What is the Air Force color?
Blue.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
and 2 floor toms and
Nice. Sometimes I'll sell drum sets to various organizations, including my wife's organization. She works Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra, and they've got a kit
Yeah.
with the bright blue.
Yeah.
When we happen to have, they're like, oh, that'd be perfect for us.
no, we didn't do that. It was an amazing instrument. I loved that instrument.
Sure.
It
Right,
was
what
that-
size is it?
it was a
22?
22.
13, 16 probably?
Yeah.
and then Dynasonic snare.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, metal one.
I had a metal one and a wood one.
Oh, you had wood one too. Yeah.
At one time in my life, not at the same time,
Kinda rare.
I owned 3 Dynasonics and let them all go.
Oh yeah. You didn't. Yeah, you should have held on to it for
Really, I should have hung on to my baseball cards
Sure.
and my,
collectibles gain
and my Dynasonic snare drums.
You never know what's going to gain value.
Well, not only that,
Things.
but those Dynasonic snare drums were amazing drums to play.
Yeah, they're very, very cool drums.
Roy and Ben Strauss, they were all involved in creating.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you look at the old Rogers hardware, come on,
Swivel
the
that.
new stuff is just beefed up Rogers hardware.
Yeah,
The ball and socket
ball and
stuff.
socket. That's
Yeah.
I think that's their innovation. I don't think
Oh,
anyone
it
did
is.
that before.
Ben
that.
Strauss.
Right.
Ben Strauss came up and with all those pedal designs.
They're so nicely designed too, because every part is metal, so you can almost tell that. I don't know. But I feel like when people built things a long time ago, sometimes they took they took more into account how long it will last versus how absolutely perfectly can you get it right exactly where you want it. Because
And they weren't so adjustable
are a little easier
that
to
it
get
drove you crazy.
tight. Yeah, they were so adjustable that they're light too.
They were just adjustable enough.
Oh yeah.
There's.
Did you think they shake too much? That's the one complaint that everyone always has.
I
about
never
those.
noticed that.
I never had an issue with it either. They do a little bit.
Really?
Well, I mean, more so than like a center mount. Like
Probably.
a one tom. Hanging off the side.
I don't know.
They almost make the drum look like it's floating in the air because it's.
Huh.
You know what I mean?
I never thought of that.
It's not like the big modern stuff.
Wow, you're right.
The rims mount. I like it so that the hardware you can't see it. If the less of it you see, the more of the drums you see, the better.
I agree.
First thing we do whenever we picture a kit is we take the rims mount off.
Wow.
That's most of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. But that was an amazing set.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
played
pretty-
it. I played it all the way
pretty
through the service. And when I got out of the service,
Yeah. What was next?
well, I spent a little bit of time in L.A., but not enough to. I was kind of in and out. I was kind of in and out of L.A.
Sure. That's what it's called, right? Hollywood Drum Shop. That's their big one. They've got.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a cool shop.
It's
Got one of Buddy
it's-
Rich's kits there, I think.
Well, I became really good friends with Jake Hanna.
Okay.
Crazy Jake, man.
I've heard some stories about.
Oh man, Jake was a mess.
Yeah.
Constantly getting fired because he couldn't edit.
Oh yeah.
He had no filter.
Sure. Okay. That
And so
people like that are fun sometimes.
I was doing a jingle session
In small doses.
in somewhere in town, and that's when we had answering services. There were no answering machines,
Sure.
and the big musicians answering service out there was called Penny's Hotline,
Okay.
and it was Lanny Morgan's wife. Lanny Morgan was a great saxophonist with Maynard's band.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was called Penny's Hotline. And so we were all with Penny's Hotline. So I checked my service, and the gal says, you got a call here from Jake Hanna, wants to know if you're available for lunch. And I said, yeah, I'll call his service back, tell him. I said, where? And she said, Dante's. And I said, yeah, fine. Tell Jake I'll meet him at Dante's. So I walk in and we're having lunch, and
Give me a little background on Jake, because
he was with Woody Herman's band, man,
Okay.
with Phil Wilson and Sal Nestico and Bill Chase and that great band, man, that did what was that? Goddamn, it was an incredibly fastest
Sure.
tempo I've ever heard anybody play. But
Yeah.
and so Jake ended up as a studio guy. He played on Merv Griffith's show and all that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's where I know.
But and then
Really,
he played.
really
he was a
famous
drummer with a
guy.
group called Super Sax.
Okay.
And Jake was very busy out there. Kept getting fired. And he went with
Sure. Jump from job. Hey,
so
But
we
was he like opinionated about the way it should be?
man, and
doing
just
it like this,
wouldn't
do it like
wouldn't keep it. Just
Sure.
so we're sitting there, and
I think I can be like that sometimes.
I mean,
I'll let people know what I
if
think.
anybody, if if I sound like anybody, it's probably Shelly Manne.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite drummers.
Because in 1959, I bought the Shelly Manne at the Blackhawk series.
I've seen you play. Yeah, there's a lot of Shelly in your playing. I think.
Oh man, I mean, and I fell in love. I mean, that should be required listening.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of drummers, they go to school for jazz and they never even listen to Shelly one time.
And
sometimes, yeah.
If you want to know how to swing, if you want to define swing, listen to Shelly Manne and his Men at the Blackhawk.
Yeah.
With Monty Budwig. And
Where's the Black? That was in L.A.?
No, it was in San Francisco.
Okay, San Francisco.
Yeah.
All right.
And
the record I have is at the Manhole. I think that's what it's called.
those are good albums. Yeah, that's a good one.
And that was in.
But the 59 recordings.
He's always West
Coast. It's 6. Well, his dad he's from New York.
Oh, okay.
Oh, his dad was the contractor at Radio City Music Hall.
All right.
Shelley studied with Billy Gladstone.
Oh, okay, cool. My dad, I think, has told me that before. Yeah.
So
someone told me that.
So I've been, and it always drove Roy crazy.
Yeah.
He says, because I sounded like Shelley and not him, you know.
Oh, okay, sure.
I couldn't sound like Roy Burns, man.
Yeah.
Nobody can sound like Roy Burns. Roy Burns sounded like, I mean.
Where's an example? Some good recordings.
Okay, the four fast guns around at that time were Buddy, Louis Bellson, Jack Sperling, and Roy Burns. Those were the fast guns. I could never play that. No.
Chops, yeah.
So
chops oriented guys.
But Shelley's time field just. So I was a worshiper.
Sure.
So in walks Shelley with 2 other guys, and I said, Jake, is that Shelly Manne? He says, yeah, you know Shelley? I said, no, I don't know Shelly Manne. I don't know him.
Sure.
He said, well, come on, I'll introduce you. I said, really? And Jake is Jake, man. We walk up to the table, and Jake says, Shelley, Jack Mouse, new kid in town. He sounds just like you.
Thanks, man.
I could have killed him.
Wrong with you? Yeah, it's funny.
But, I mean, Shelley knew Jake, you know,
Sure,
so we laughed it off.
He was kind of like almost pulling your leg.
But Shelley and I became close.
Sure.
He would have me over for supper, and I kept saying, I want you to teach me. Come on, man, give me some lessons.
Yeah.
He said, I'm not a teacher. He said, okay. So we'd go over, and his wife would make tuna salad sandwiches. He lived in the valley. He had Shelley raised quarter horses.
Oh, okay.
And so I'd finally look at him after that. I'd say, are you ever going to teach me anything? And he says, I thought I was.
Sure.
So Shelley and I became close friends. And whenever he would come to town, and after I moved to Chicago, he would play the showcase. And
when did he pass away?
I'm trying to think. It's been a while now.
I've never seen him.
It's been a while now. Great loss. A great player. He's on all those Mancini records.
But yeah, it's been. Was it like maybe in the? We don't have to get the exact year, but it was in like the 2000s or
It'd be in
like 90s maybe.
It would have been late 80s.
Oh, late 80s. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I think. And he was just amazing, man.
That's why I never saw him. Yeah.
Just amazing swinging player, man. His
like him and Barrett Deems are the 2 drummers I think that are up there for
swinging.
Maybe
yeah.
And they're a little lesser known than the big 5 maybe, or a big 10.
Shelley made probably more money than any drummer in the world.
Oh yeah, was he smart? Was he smart with his money?
He owned Shelley's Manhole. He owned the club.
Sure, yeah, definitely a businessman.
He was the top call.
You realize like they're the ones who are selling all this booze to everybody. I want to own that. I don't want to. I want to play in the band too.
And not only that, but he was one of the top call studio players in L.A. for movies.
Right.
He's on a lot of those Mancini things, and he made a lot of money.
Yeah, good for him.
And was just a sweet, sweet guy. He came into town once, and he called me. He said, I'm playing the showcase.
So this is when you're later to Chicago.
I'm living here now.
Yeah.
And he, so I said, yeah, I'll be in tonight. and it was the middle of a blizzard.
Oh, geez.
But I called Kelly Sill.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know Kelly.
And Kelly's,
I didn't know you
and
knew
Kelly
him.
will tell you this, that Kelly sounds a lot like Monty Budwig,
Okay.
who's Shelly's partner in crime.
All right.
And he was in town. I said, come on, man, he said, I'll meet you there.
How long have you known Kelly for?
Oh, since before I moved into Chicago.
Okay.
Kelly and I met on pickup bands before I moved here. We were playing with Ray Eberly at Kodak Park
Cool.
in Rochester, New York, together.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen him play many times. He's a
Oh no, I was in the Chicago Jazz Quintet with Kelly.
virtuosic bass player. Bass, yeah.
Very. He did a lot of Janis's camps with us, with Dan Hurley, and so we meet down there, right?
Sure.
And there's nobody in the club.
All right. This is the
last
jazz
set.
showcase on
No, across the street from the Hilton,
across the street from the Hilton. So this is the one.
at the hotel Blackstone.
Blackstone. Okay. I did go there once. I went to the Blackstone one time.
So there's hardly anybody in the club because it's a blizzard out there. So, and Kelly tells this story better than I do. He wants to meet Shelly and he wants to meet Bonnie. So I said, okay, I'll introduce you to Shelly. Shelly will introduce you to Monty.
Mm-hmm.
So Shelly finishes the set, comes up to the bar where we are, and I said, Shelly, this is a partner of mine, Kelly Sill. And Kelly reaches out his hand, and an old friend of Shelly's walks through the door, and Shelly turns on his heels and goes, hey, man, and like we just walked off. See, so Shelly tells this story. He says, he blew me off. I said, no, he didn't blow you off. There was another time.
Awkward.
Another time Shelly had this very, and this was, remember octagon cymbals? Octagon-shaped cymbals.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't think I've ever.
Well,
actually
this was,
played
but
one,
this
though.
was before.
Who made them?
I think Sabian. made
Sabian.
them.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But Shelley had picked
I
this
know
up
exactly what
in
you're
a
talking
pawn shop in Europe somewhere.
What's he doing with one of those?
I don't know, and he played it, and he sounded great.
Nice.
And every now and
Probably
then,
like a trash can.
every now and then, last set where nobody would be in the club, Shelley
Sure.
would say, "You want to sit in with a group?"
Nice.
And I said, "Yeah, man." So
Those are the best jazz shows when there's like maybe 10 people,
there's
20
nobody
people.
there. There weren't that many.
Yeah.
So
You want there to be
so
at
I
least
said
a
to
couple,
Shelley, I
right?
said, Shelley, can I play that cymbal?
Sure.
He says, have at it, man. So I went up and I'm playing with Frank and Monty, and I went over and touched that cymbal once. Whoa.
You dug it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Oh, God, no. And I walked off the
I
bandstand.
mistook your reaction, yeah.
And Shelley said, I noticed you didn't play the cymbal much. And I said, how do you play that thing? He said, Jack, says, there are no bad cymbals. He says, you learn how to play your equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
He said, there are no bad cymbals. You learn how to deal with the equipment that you own. So, lesson learned.
Sure.
Lesson learned,
Yeah, yeah. Some
So-
guys get real obsessed with gear.
Yeah, I'm off and on with it. I bet you
Sure.
are too.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's kind of my job to
Well, yeah.
be with it and to be really interested in it.
Oh, come on, you guys got the
I
best
don't know
job
that-
in the world.
I think sometimes, yeah, they're almost like pieces of art. The drum sets, they're just so beautiful. It's not necessarily going to make you sound better, but it might. It is a piece of art, though. They're really, really
Well,
high-end
and,
stuff. The
and
special
I mean,
stuff.
and Janice taught me this years ago.
Yeah.
People hear what they see.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's a big thing, visual, yeah.
You know?
Sure. Yeah, if you present yourself nicely, you have an interesting looking kit. It makes a big difference if you're.
When I was
people gotta watch the whole show.
When
you
I
know?
was with Clark Terry, Clark always said, "Never let your audience outdress you."
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
Clark made us buy clothes, man.
Sure. Did he? You guys had to pay for him. That was on you.
Clark, I had a way of reimbursing you. That
You ever like rent stuff for some of those bands?
no, they
like
don't fit.
And
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
with the military stuff, did you wear mostly like a dress uniform when you were playing?
no. They have Air Force tuxes that we
Ooh, even
wore,
nicer.
you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you get to keep that? You still have it?
No.
No, they take it back.
Yeah, we kept those, yeah.
They do everything that way, don't they? It's to like account for it.
I have all my uniforms, but not the tux.
Oh, you get to keep your uniform. Nice.
Yeah. I can't fit into them, but I
Yeah.
I still own them. You know.
Yeah. It's always a struggle. I'm predisposed to gaining weight. I think I'm just a big guy in general, and yeah, I'm trying to lose weight now. That's my new.
Oh, me too.
I told you I went on a big bike ride. Like
Me
2
too.
days
It's a
ago.
constant battle, man.
What's a good type of exercise you like? What do you?
Oh, I exercise.
jog or maybe?
No, we exercise 7 days a week, 2 hours a day.
Yeah,
And we do Tai Chi and Qigong.
that's more than me, I think. Although work here can be pretty physical, so yeah,
Absolutely.
moving stuff all the time.
And, when we weren't playing during the pandemic, man, I mean,
Yeah, that's
all
what
you
got
do
real
is
bad.
eat.
Right. All I do is eat and drink.
So I'm still trying to knock that off.
Sure. Yeah. You get addicted to like an overly priced local restaurant that will deliver now that never should have delivered in the first place.
That. The only problem I have with the Qigong and Tai Chi is there's not enough cardio for me.
Sure. Yeah.
So we have a Nordic track and we have a stationary bike.
Yeah, bicycling's really good. It's really
Yeah.
easy on the joints.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, I jogged for years. I ran for years.
Yeah, not so easy. Tennis, not easy on the joints.
My knees gave out.
Yeah.
And Janice bought me a Nordic track.
Yeah.
And that works.
Yeah.
That works. Someone told me once, when you turn 40, you got to start being a professional athlete.
Sure. Just to keep yourself,
Yeah.
from falling apart.
Yeah.
I'm 36 now. I'm almost 37.
Wow.
I'm going on 40, pushing 40. Sorry.
I'm 76.
Yeah. So yeah, we're exactly like
A generation apart.
yeah, pretty much. Although we're technically a little more, because I'm technically a millennial. Although I'm a very very old millennial because I was born in '85, which is like it's exactly in between.
Oh my gosh.
So am I a Gen Xer or am I a millennial? Like I remember cassette
You're just
tapes.
a young sprout, man.
Yeah. I'm pretty. I don't know though. I feel like I've done a lot in my short life. If
are
I
you
died
kidding?
tomorrow, I would
Are you
feel as though I
kidding,
hadn't
man?
wasted too
I
much
don't know
time.
another place like this.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I'm so fortunate to have my dad.
Like
yeah.
I say, you guys have got the best job in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And anymore,
We're very fortunate.
Janice and I are moving.
Right. We talked about this a little bit. Yeah, how's that all going? Are you guys?
We're moving back to Emporia.
Yeah, it'll be less property taxes, I think. Yeah, I'm looking to buy a house right now, so I'm all these property tax and estimate and all this stuff. Is
Well, that and we have so many friends there, and
Very nice.
We're at the point where we can pretty much run our business
sure.
from anywhere. In fact, October 1st.
What's the business you're referring to here?
Well, otherwise we have our groups.
Sure. Yeah.
We have our publishing company. We have a recording company.
Yeah, we have to talk about this.
We are
yeah.
a record company.
So you're going to transport the whole studio out there?
No, we're not. We're not
Oh.
going to. No, it's the place we're building. No, because there's no engineers there.
Okay.
We'll continue to record, but we'll probably
I'd help you, engineer. I have a
We'll
little bit of
probably come
background.
back to Chicago to record.
Nice. Hey, you ever need to use any of my stuff? Just let me know.
That's and you will be hearing from us.
Great.
We use Steve Yates a lot. He's been our engineer for years.
Nice. I wouldn't even mind if you brought someone in to be, to work, whatever.
Well, that'd be great. That's very kind of you, man.
My studio. I mean, obviously, I'd want to be there so I could show them where everything is and
Oh no,
all the
that's
patch bays and
that's
everything.
very kind of you.
Yeah. I just want people to use it. I built it, and I didn't really build it to make money because that would not be. You can make money with a studio, but that's not really my objective there. I just love.
It's like being a
part of
musician.
recording music.
It's like being like a musician.
Sure. Yeah.
Anymore, for us to go out and work right now, it has to be one of two things. It either has to pay very well or it has to be a lot of fun.
Sure, sure.
If you can put those two together,
yeah, then it's even better.
that's great.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen very often. But
Sure.
right now, we're just doing things we want to do, not things that we're in a position where we don't feel like we have to do what we're making the decisions.
Sure.
I run my band. She runs her band. We run.
Do you guys have like any regular engagements? Any like kind of like monthly or
Oh no,
like?
no. We do.
I was just like, yeah,
Most
before
of
you
the
go, I was wondering.
most
if I
of
could
the
see you
work we
play.
do is out of most of the work we do is out of town.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
We did. We usually do a concert in Emporia about once a year.
Nice.
And the band is amazing. It's Scott Robinson, Fareed Haq, Larry Gray, Art Davis.
Who did I see you play with? I saw you play one time. I think it was maybe just the big band that was with the school in Naperville, the college in Naperville.
Wow, I don't know.
Yeah, this was like 8 years ago, maybe.
I don't know.
I did see you play though once. It was great. It was. And
Was it with the school band?
I got a bunch of your albums too. I think it was just with like the college, like all the professors.
Oh, it was a faculty concert.
Faculty. Yeah.
But probably not a big band.
Maybe it was. Maybe like 9-piece. Maybe.
Could be.
That's probably it was.
Could be. We run it. We have a holiday package that we use.
Yeah.
For Christmas. We take out. And we're really focusing right now on. We have a free ensemble called 3-Story Sandbox,
Nice.
which plays entirely free music.
Okay, see, this is another thing we talked about. I put a record on of my buddy Charles, who's actually been on this podcast before.
Oh, wow.
And Charles Rumbeck, you know him? He's
I know the name.
yeah, he's a local drummer. He's really, really good. That was him though. That was what we were
No,
playing.
in fact, oh shoot, Steve.
The new CDs, yeah.
No, these are old.
Okay.
That's a duo album with Scott and I.
Very nice.
And this is 3-Story Sandbox. You just keep these.
Oh, thanks. Have I given you a copy of my record? I think I might have.
I think so,
Or if
yeah.
I didn't, I'll give you one.
I don't know you haven't.
Awesome. Maybe I'll give you one. I got plenty.
Great.
I don't even really sell them. I just kind of give them to my friends.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it cost me about $5,000 to do the pressing.
Oh, I know.
Which it's not, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot, but
Yeah.
considering I'll have that forever, I have like
Well-
500 copies, you know.
And it's a thing that you need to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
say,
I felt like
this
that.
is where I was 1997. This is where I
Absolutely.
was, you know.
Yeah.
These are all watermarks.
Right. I knew there was always a sense of urgency for me. It has to happen now. It would be so frustrating sometimes when you're trying to get the group together.
Oh, I agree.
And then someone gets sick or something, and it's like, geez, no, we need to finish this project.
No, we just did our last project at Tallgrass, our home at Tallgrass Studio.
Yeah, you guys have a really cool studio.
That's great.
It's beautiful.
We're going to miss it.
Yeah.
But we did a 3-Story Sandbox project with Janice and I and Scott in April. And then we brought in a guest artist,
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to it.
Mark Feldman, jazz violinist, who is on most of John Abercrombie's last recordings.
Very nice.
And so we just finished mixing that. It's being mastered now. And actually, we did a concert workshop over at North Central.
Okay.
And Ryan Bennett came in. And,
Ryan, yeah.
So we're getting ready to put that up.
Are you two good buddies?
Oh, yeah.
He
I
does
love
a lot of photography.
Ryan did the, there's an accompanying video with this book.
Okay.
And he and Joanne came in and did the
Nice. I miss them. I never
the
talked to them
accompanying
anymore.
video.
Yeah,
Oh,
if you talk to them, tell them to give me a call or come to the shop. Give them the tour.
He's great, man. He's a great drummer.
And she's a
great
incredible
photographer.
pianist. Yeah, she's
Great photographer, and Joanne's a great pianist.
Yeah. I just I listened to. She was playing some Charlie Parker stuff on WDCB. It was like a live show. This was maybe like a year ago.
Could be.
I think she did a fantastic job. It was really, really great. It was a lot of.
She's in D.C.
she was
now
on the chords.
conducting
No guitar, so
conducting this all-girl
Busy role.
show musical.
Okay, yeah. I knew she was doing.
She's back doing that again, and
It seems like a good gig. Yeah.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
that union thing, I think probably.
Oh yeah, you reckon?
Definitely. Yeah. My
yeah.
wife, she always has to deal with all the unions downtown. Are you a union guy or?
I just
You probably were.
I just
some point.
quit last year.
Oh, okay. The dues weren't worth it anymore.
Well,
what are the dues if you're in the union? What do you?
I
pay?
don't know.
I've never been in it. My
I
dad.
I joined the musicians union, local 36 in Topeka when I was 14,
right.
and I had to take. When you're in the military, you can't be in a union.
Okay.
So those 4 years had to.
Yeah.
And
Had to
at
take a
one
little-
time, I had an 802 card in New York.
Okay.
I had a 36 card out of Topeka, and I had a local 47 card.
So you're in many unions.
I had a local 47 card out of
You
L.A.
have to pay each one. 4.
and a Chicago card.
Yeah.
How many times do you have to join this union?
Right. That's kind of frustrating. Yeah.
So the work we do now is non-union related.
Yeah.
We do jazz festivals, colleges, workshops,
Yeah, it's-
overseas.
Back in the day, they didn't mess around, and they seemed to have like every club that had live music they would be involved in, but it doesn't seem to be like that anymore. And nowadays, it seems that most small clubs completely union is uninterested in them.
No.
Just big venues, huge venues. Yeah.
Well, I mean, mainly they monitor the symphony
yeah.
and the theaters.
Right.
And the jingle business, when there was a jingle business here.
Sure. Yeah. People tell stories about that all the time.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, we all made a pretty decent living.
Oh, you did some of that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
So this would be
Janice-
just you come in. And,
Janice did a bunch of stuff, yeah.
And what did you play, like drum set on that stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. That must have been,
Yeah.
that must have been fun, kind of.
Yeah, you come in to do a jingle,
Yeah.
and you were in and out.
Sure. Right? That's what I mean. Yeah, a little paycheck.
Tommy
There you go.
Radke was the jingle king in town.
Okay.
He and his wife, Bonnie Herman.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Where were they out of? They in Chicago, in the city?
Oh, yeah, they lived here, yeah. And Tommy, if Tommy wasn't working, nobody was.
Sure.
If he was off, everybody was off.
Right.
And a good guy and a good drummer.
Yeah.
Still alive, still around.
Has he been to our shop? I might even.
I don't know.
Wonder if I know him.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
But when he was in town, Steve Rodby was here, Rufus Reed, all those guys
Yeah.
were in town, man.
You know Rufus.
Rufus and I did a lot of the summer summer work together. Abersold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I wonder. I did go to one Abersol camp. I wonder if I don't think you were there though.
Where at?
It was
Wesleyan?
Where was it? I mean, what's the closest? one?
Illinois
Yeah.
Wesleyan. Or
Kentucky?
we were at DeKalb for a while.
I think it was in Kentucky.
Oh, then, yeah. That's it. Jamie pretty much closed down except the Kentucky camp.
Yeah, that was. I did it just
Yeah.
one time. I
No.
liked,
During the camp years.
Is he still doing it? It's still going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's still a big thing.
But the years of the big camps,
Yeah.
I was doing National Stage Band camps or summer jazz clinics, Clark Terry's camp, the Saskatchewan Summer School of the Arts camp in Canada.
You're a busy guy.
We would leave in June and not get home till September.
Yeah, that sounds like too much. I'd be.
I was great though.
Did
I would
the-
never gotten to play
Did
with
they all
all
have
those.
cafeterias?
Yeah.
I love the eggs. Those cafeterias are always
Well,
so good, right?
yeah,
The eggs and the bacon, if they do bacon. That's one of the things that the camps I always remember.
Yeah, those camps were amazing, man. Because I attended those camps.
Sure.
And then ended up on staff.
What about Birch Creek?
I did Birch Creek.
Okay, I was there too, but you weren't there when I was there. Rich Thompson.
I only
was
did it
there.
for a couple of years.
Did you? Were you before?
When
Rich?
no, I did it when Jim. Oh, he ran the percussion department of the American Conservatory for years.
I think I might.
And he owned Birch Creek.
Okay.
Jim
Yeah, it
and
started as a percussion
wife.
camp, and then the jazz.
I think so.
Kind of
I think so. Yeah.
That was so great up there. You remember the no air conditioning?
Oh, I was up there the year that food poisoning hit camp,
Oh yeah.
and we were all sick, and they closed down the camp and quarantined us. And
I have a funny disaster.
that's where I met Bunky Green.
I'd never done my own laundry before, so I was really scared. This is when I was like I think 12.
Yeah.
I went really young. I think they maybe whatever the first year is.
Yeah.
I was really nervous, and I was so nervous I wouldn't ask anybody because I didn't want to look like an
Geek.
imbecile. Yeah, like a yeah. So, what? You've never done your laundry before? Look at this kid over here.
Oh,
All right, Mister. You know.
Oh, that's great.
Got Richie over here. He's never done.
But we
his
all
laundry.
went through that, right?
Right. But and so. Why did I screw it up, though? It was a disaster. I put my clothes in and washed them, and I didn't get to the dryer step because one of the machines was really confusing to me. So, and I was too embarrassed to ask anybody. So I ended up with a duffel bag full of wet clothes. And I was like, it'll be fine. They'll dry in there. And this is in the really
By the time you get
hot,
home.
Yeah, really hot, sticky. And then, you got like 25 teenagers. And then
the
so
bugs.
for the rest of the camp, I just basically smelled like mildew. And it was just, it was so bad. I ended up actually wearing the same shirt 6 days in a row because, it was.
At that time, the facilities.
That's my funny story.
At that time, the facilities up there were not good.
Well, yeah, but I kind of liked it though. It was intense.
It wasn't like going onto a college campus.
Yeah, there was no air conditioning. We slept in bunks and no AC where we slept. The only room that had air conditioning was like the lounge.
Yeah.
And that's where you'd go
Yeah.
for that. But it was really amazing because just the amount of practice I got done when I was there because
Yeah.
you're so miserable. You just
Well,
need
and
something
the
practicing.
barn is a good place to play. I love playing in
Absolutely.
the barn.
Did they have the big practice rooms yet when you were there? Maybe, yeah, because one time I went, they didn't have them. The second time they did have
Janice's vocal camp ran for 26 years.
them. Okay.
And the 26th year, we did up there.
Okay.
So, I mean, they had housing that was like motel rooms, and it was...
Right.
They've done a lot of good things up there,
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember it very fondly, even
Yeah.
though, because that one when I
Jim
was very
Dutton.
young, I just did percussion.
Jim Dutton.
Okay, that sounds...
Yeah.
Yeah, and he must have been there when I was there. Because, the first time I did only percussion.
If it was the early
second time I did
years,
both.
and he built that big A-frame over there
Okay, yeah.
across the road.
Yeah.
And that's where he and Fran stayed in the summer. And,
Very nice.
yeah.
Do you know Rich Thompson?
know the name?
He's a really, really great educator. Yeah, he did a really good job. He taught me, let's see, what's the biggest thing Rich taught me? He taught me that you don't always have to play brushes vertically and that you can play them horizontally. Seriously. Yeah.
Well,
'cause
yeah.
I was doing like, hey, look, I can do doubles really
Oh,
fast.
my, yeah.
And he was like, hey, why don't you try this pattern and some of those patterns that really swing, you know?
In fact, Ryan and I are going to get together. I'm going to do a brush video,
Yeah.
and Ryan's going to once this thing is out, and
Yeah, we got to talk about
we're
this book
working
here.
on so many projects right
Brand new
now.
copy here.
That's
make
the that's a book that I started back in the 70s.
Oh, wow. So it's been quite a long project.
Oh yeah, so yeah, it was on my bucket list, and Janice. This is actually Janice's book.
Yeah.
Janice did all the what's the program? Not Sibelius. Yeah,
Finale?
Sibelius.
Sibelius,
She
yeah.
did all the Sibelius work.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very
So
well organized.
she did all the editing. This is really a Janice Boiler project.
It's so nice you have such support.
Well, when we do that,
It's a lot of work putting the things out.
we
I did some of that.
we have a 501c3 organization called Flashpoint Creative Arts that we're really proud of. We work with special needs people
Okay.
for free. The way that started, when we were at North Central, I got a call.
Like music therapy, kind of like the.
Well, we're not musical therapists.
Sure, because that is a degree you can get.
Because
I
we're not.
believe.
But got a call. Brian Lynch, who was head of the theater department, came up and said,
Sure.
got a call from Alma Jones, who's the president in waiting of the Naperville Rotary Club.
Mm-hmm.
And So he put me in contact, and she wanted to know if it would be all right to bring some students over from Little Friends, which is a big autism
Yeah. Okay.
autism center in Naperville.
Sure. Yeah.
And wanted to know if she could bring some students over to
Probably driven by it before. I live out there.
observe one of my student rehearsals. And I said, sure.
Okay.
She showed up with about 60 people.
Oh,
and
jeez. Wow.
and half the Naperville Rotary Club.
Sure.
And
So this was just like they're just kind of observing a regular rehearsal?
one of my combo rehearsals.
Okay.
Well,
That's different.
my mama drowned the dumb ones, man. So I went running down the hall because I've seen that lady save the day over and over again.
Okay.
And I went down to her studio. I said, Janice, I think you better come in on this. I said, this is way too much for me by myself.
Sure.
So anyway, we're playing. And I said, and they're sitting there, and I said, I'd like to have Janice come up and talk to you about vocal improvisation.
Mm-hmm.
So Janice came up. She's demonstrating some things, some trades back and forth with my student vocalist. And I'm standing in the back of the room. And autism, they're heavily staffed.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be.
Sure, yeah.
And so Janice finally looks up and she says, would anybody like to come up and sing with me? And I'm thinking, are you nuts? This is going nowhere.
Sure.
Sure enough, some young old man raised his hand.
Oh, nice.
And she came up and they start singing together, improvising together.
Awesome.
And I'm standing next to one of the staff ladies and she's wiping her eyes. And I finally said, ma'am, are you okay? And she said, that young man has not said a word in class in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
That's profound.
Yeah.
That's the power of the arts.
Right on.
From then on, it was like we could have been there all day. Everybody wanted to come up and sing.
That's great.
So we got together with Alma and said, this is really a good thing. Why don't we get together with the Rotary Club and Little Friends? And we met at the studio over at our house.
Cool.
And so until the pandemic hit, Janice and I were going over every other Monday and working with them on improvisation.
That's awesome, man.
Janice and I, and we'd take a pianist with us.
That's very cool.
And we put them on one of our great evenings of jazz, and they brought the house down.
Yeah.
Some of them are actually savants. There was a young lady in there who sounded like Ella, man.
Sure. That's amazing. Yeah, because sometimes like recognizing patterns is something that
no
people
filters,
can be
man.
really good at.
No
Yeah.
filters. And if you're insincere, they can smell you coming.
Sure. I can imagine.
If you're a JA man, they can smell you.
Sure.
And the first couple of sessions were really. But by the time we were done, there's a little kid named Blake, and he would walk in the room and he'd say, "Okay, Jack, let's do this."
Nice. That's awesome, man.
So now,
This is another thing I didn't know about.
So now,
that
when
part of
Janice
your
and I
life.
go out and take the band out, play the last gig, we send the band home, and Janice and I stay and deal with special needs people.
Yeah.
And we were actually in Emporia doing a thing at the Granada a couple of years ago, and contacted a lady there, and she says, "Yeah, I can put together groups to bring in for you."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's start about 11 o'clock and see where we go.
Sure.
Do about 45 minutes per session. She brought in six groups, man.
Wow.
7 groups.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was bang, 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 bang. And that's very tedious, man. It's like,
Yeah, I can imagine.
And they weren't just autistic. They were some really challenged people.
Yeah, just lack of any ability
And
to communicate.
towards the
really.
end of the day, they wheeled a young man in a wheelchair who had one of these rocking things going and had to have someone there to keep him from, falling out of the chair.
Oh, geez.
And to look at him, you would think, and nonverbal, to look at him, you would think he doesn't know where he is or what's going on.
Sure.
So Janice is working with a group, and we do a thing where I play something, and she does the vocalization of it.
Sure.
So I went, and she goes, brrr, and this kid goes, brrr.
He liked it.
The place went up for grabs, nonverbal.
Right.
The place went up for grabs. Couldn't get him to do it again, but Stephen, I know.
You got through to him for a
I
second.
know from that it was his way of saying, "I am here,
Sure.
and I know what you're doing." You can't buy experience like that, man.
Yeah, Jack. That's cool, man.
And now it's a mission, man.
Yeah. So this is like a big part of what you're keeping busy with these days.
Absolutely.
Are you gonna do the same thing down where you're moving?
Oh, absolutely.
Start up a new one, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's nice. Yeah, something to look
They
forward
have.
to.
We've already talked to people at the Hetlinger.
You said it's volunteer, so
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's not like.
care.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. That's a good way to spend your time.
Nobody else is doing it.
Sure.
Nobody. It takes a vocalist to do it.
Yeah. Well, I know exactly what you're talking about. Tim Wiltsey, he did a podcast with us a little while ago, and he doesn't
I don't
deal
know
with.
him.
You may recognize him. He works with us at the drum show sometimes. Yeah, he's great. He does a fantastic
I've never
job.
been to the drum show.
Oh, you've never been to the drum show?
We've always been tied
What
up.
have you been doing? You live here
Always
for like
been tied up or
30
out
years.
of town or something. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, they do it every year. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I know.
Maybe you'll go now that you won't live here anymore. you
Yeah,
know?
probably. Well, we figure we'll probably do more work in Chicago now that we're gone.
Sure. Sometimes it works out that
And
way.
it does
yeah.
work out that way.
Yeah. Why? Who knows? Maybe it's because I don't know. I do find, yeah, it's funny. When I lived in the city, I would never go out and do things because I was so close to it.
Yeah.
But then when you're far from it, it's like, oh, that'd be fun going there.
It's an adventure
Yeah,
then.
exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, no. And not that, but if you're an artist or a musician, then you're the expert from afar.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
October 1st. We're moving back there September 1st.
September 1st, yeah.
And October 1st, Janice and I they've hired us to be the guest soloists with the University Jazz Band for their scholarship concert.
Nice.
So we're looking
great.
forward to doing that,
Yeah. But yeah, Tim, he deals with just people who have like dementia and then he goes and he plays for them. And my grandma was with one of the groups that he played for, and it was really cool. She wasn't really into it. They do like drum circles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's music and she wasn't really into it, but some of the other people were having a blast. So, and they're some of them are more with it than others. Some of them are like totally with it, and then
Sure.
some of them are they don't even know where they are or who you are. Even if you're like even my
know.
grandma, like she didn't really know who I was or anything, and just to see everyone in the circle kind of communicating via music was just really cool.
And you never know. You were probably getting through to her somehow.
Sure. Yeah, she was great. Sometimes I'd go see her and she'd really seem to know me, and other
the
times
arts are amazing, man.
Sure.
We have a painting done by, I can't remember his name. He's a African-American autistic gentleman.
Okay.
And we have a painting. Charles. He goes by the name of Charles.
Okay. Oh, he like gave you a painting, and he's one of the people you worked with?
No, we don't know him.
Oh, okay.
This was brought to us by one of the supervisors or something.
Oh, okay.
And he does shows all over the country.
Yeah.
And we have this incredible abstract painting of Albert Einstein that he did.
Oh, cool.
It's incredible, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They are, like I say, some of them are actual savants.
Sure.
They're very good at something.
They can see things that you can't. They can't see everything, maybe quite the same way, but in one, yeah. Right.
Well, for instance, we noticed initially that a lot of them wear these ear protectors.
Okay.
And Mike Briggs, who's the head of Little Friends, I asked Mike, I said, is that because it's too loud? And he says, no. He says, these are people who, if they're sitting next to you, they can hear the blood rushing through your veins. They can hear the light. They can hear the lights in the ceiling.
Yeah, sure.
He said it's
and they can't stop focusing on it. Yeah.
It's to filter all that out.
Sure. They might actually be really good at finding problems in recordings. If you're in a studio,
But
they'd probably
isn't-
be really good at.
but isn't that
thumbs
amazing?
off. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You know, I mean, these special needs nothing. Maybe we're all special needs.
Sure. Yeah.
You
I know
know,
what you mean.
because we get as much out of it as they do, man.
Right.
And they don't like to be touched.
Yeah, for sure.
They
a lot of
will
hugs
not
going
leave
around.
a room unless they get a hug from Janice. They won't do it.
Nice.
They won't do it
Yeah.
because she sincerely, you know, I mean, to watch her handle young people is just incredible,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah, we got a lot of irons in the fire. And
Yeah, good for you
basically
guys.
right
Good
now we're just sitting back and saying, what do we want to do now?
It sounds like a lot of worthwhile endeavors that you're,
Worthwhile to us,
You're in the middle of right
you know.
now. Yeah.
Worthwhile to us.
Absolutely. So how did you end up in Chicago originally? We stopped off with talking
Well-
about kind of your background. That's one thing we kind of missed there. How'd you end up in
Well,
Chicago? Or was it Naperville first? Or
John Laporta at the Wichita camp introduced me to Jack Riley.
okay,
And John had worked with Jack at Berklee. And John was just taking care of me, and he says, you two guys need to get together.
okay, yeah. I remember the voice now. So this is the guy.
That's Laporta.
Okay.
And I said, fine. And at the time, Jack was running a trio with Joe Cacuzo, great drummer, and Jack Six, he took Eugene Wright's place on the Brubeck Group, bass player.
Okay.
And he broke up that trio. He says it wasn't what I was after.
Sure.
So we played a little bit together at camp, you know, and he started putting together this new trio with me and great bass player named Richie Ambler. Richie was with Betty DeFranco for a while, and put together tours, and we went to Europe a lot, and played in New York a lot, and
And you're still living? Was it L.A. at this point? Or
no,
were you-
at that time, I had been on the road, didn't have a home,
Oh, so you're
so
you're
I
almost.
was, so I was living in Emporia, and
Sure.
I was in the middle of a divorce, and my father and I had years ago. My father and my uncles and I had built a cabin on Lake Cahola, which
Oh
is
yeah, we were talking about this. Yeah,
which
full
is about
circle.
20 miles from town.
Okay.
Electricity, but
Not a lot of
no
other
heat.
amenities.
No heat. No, I had to chop wood.
No deliveries, food.
No, and no running water.
Sure.
But I went out there and I was playing with Jack, and Jack would call and say, here's a tour. I'd go back there. And I finally got an efficiency apartment in New York, in Brooklyn.
Efficiency
Right.
apartment, is that
Just a,
Tiny?
Yeah, a little bit,
yeah.
you know.
If you're touring a lot, then that's probably fine.
Well, yeah, I was just looking for a place to sleep.
Sleep
you know.
there once a month, maybe.
Well, and it was right on Prospect Avenue, across the street from Prospect Park.
Okay.
So I was renting that, but mainly heading for Kansas because I loved being there. I was totally alone and was able to practice like my, and
Yeah.
I had my records and my drums there, and I got a lot done.
Sure.
Got a huge amount done. And so...
Did you like living in New York for the short period of time you were out there?
Oh, yeah, New York was fine. I was going to move there.
Yeah.
I finally decided this is too much. This is too much.
Too much all the time.
Oh, come on, I'm flying around with drums, man.
Yeah.
That set of Rosewoods that I brought in,
Right. Pearls. Yeah.
I got those because I was doing trio work instead of big band work
Sure.
with Jack. So by that time, I was doing the summer jazz camp circuits.
We'll put a picture of you playing this kit up so people can see it now. It's
upstairs.
I think you gave me the other ones, but we'll put a copy of it so
No.
people watching the YouTube version can see.
So by this time, I've been doing the summer jazz camp circuit,
Right.
And Roger Pemberton called me from here in Chicago. He says, Jack, I hear you're moving to New York. And I said, yeah. And he says, are you coming through Chicago? I said, well, I can.
Right.
He says, if you are, I got about a week's worth of work for you if you want to stop and do it. And I said, well, that'd be great. So I called Steve Rodby, and this is before he was with Pat Metheny, and he and I, we were on the circuit together. And I said, Steve, can I hang out at your place? He was living over on Hinman in Evanston. He had an apartment over there.
Okay, yeah.
He was doing a lot of studio work here in town. And I said, can I hang out at your place for a week while I play with Roger's band? He said, sure.
Yeah.
So I'm playing with Roger's band at the Wise Fools and things like that. And I met Warren Keim on the band, and Warren says, if you want to hang around, I got 2 or 3 days worth of work. And then I met Ross Trout, and Ross says, I got a week's worth of work here if you want to. There was so much work here, Stephen, at that time.
Yeah.
It was nothing to work a triple on a Saturday.
It's legendary at this point. Yeah, everyone talks about
It's
it. Yeah.
nothing. I mean,
And this is like
I could not afford to leave.
Late 70s now? Early 80s?
I moved here in October of 77.
Okay. And were you living in the city at that point, or when did you?
Well, no,
end up in
I
Naperville?
was staying at Steve's house.
Oh, okay, for a little while, just crashing on the couch.
And he finally looked at me and said,
Time for you to get an apartment.
you need to go to New York or get your own place.
Sure. Don't mean to kick you out, but
So, well, I understood.
yeah, it's hard to say no to
Worn out my
no
welcome,
rent.
and I understood.
Yeah.
So,
And what about educating? Were you doing a lot of like educating at this point, or were you just playing all the time?
no, just playing.
When did you get involved? Well, I guess you were doing the educating because you were doing through the
camps.
clinics, camps, stuff like that. Yeah,
Doing the camps, yeah.
But then what about
And
the actual college? Where did
Well, after I'd been in Chicago a few months, I got a call from Jim Dutton
okay.
at the American Conservatory and said, would you like to come down here and teach drum set 2 days a week?
Now, where was the school located?
Right across the street from the Art Institute, right across the street from the Lions.
Okay, yeah. I know a bunch of people
Yeah.
who were involved in that place.
Oh,
in
absolutely.
One form or
Brad
another.
Sturtz, everybody was involved in.
Do you know Ed Coward? Do you know him?
No.
He's just a buddy of mine. Yeah, I think he was involved in there.
No,
for a
Willie
while.
Pickens was there. A bunch of people were there. Frank Mantooth, eventually he moved to Chicago and was there. So I taught there and just never left.
Sure. Hey, yeah, it's a good gig, you know.
Well, I
Doing what
ran
you love.
at one time, like I say, the jobbing thing was huge.
Sure.
The jingle thing was huge. The showrooms were open.
Yeah.
I mean, I was playing the Blue Max. I played the Blue Max with
Where is that?
at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare. I played
Okay.
the Blue Max with B.B. King, man. You know, I did all this kind of work because I could read and I could play a lot of styles.
Nice.
I
Do
did.
you know Cleo Cole?
No.
He's another guy. He did the podcast a little while ago.
No.
He was in. The reason you brought up B.B. King, I think that Cleo might have been playing in a band alongside. But yeah, if it was only like a one-time thing. It's more recent than that probably.
Well,
so,
you know, at that time there were
yeah,
industrial shows.
not contemporary.
There were industrial shows. I mean, I did 2 week.
What's industrial show? What's that?
Like Sports Illustrated had an industrial show for their.
Oh, like okay, I see. Yeah, industry
Yeah.
show. Yeah, sure.
You know,
like the NAMM show, except
Yeah,
for, okay.
yeah, it's
And
free.
you get gigs out of it. Nice.
Oh, yeah,
People
you
need
know.
entertainment.
And it was day work.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like at McCormick Place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that must be cool.
The Sports Illustrated thing was at the Hancock Building.
Okay, nice.
You know,
That's
so
a
yeah,
good-looking
you were
building.
just busy
I love the Hancock
all the
building.
time, and when you weren't busy, you went over to Berghoff's.
Sure.
Not Berghoff's. What's the name of that?
That is a famous Chicago place, though.
That was a hang for musicians.
Yeah, but then where? Because
And
the
you'd
Berghoff
walk-
is in. That's like the German restaurant, I think, in the
Yeah, it
downtown
was.
area. They have their.
And you walk
root
in
beer
there, and all the
beer, I think.
musicians were there.
Yeah.
And you'd walk in, and you'd say, "I got Thursday morning open," and someone said, "Gotcha." I went,
Nice.
you know, it was like a union hall.
That's cool.
It was amazing, man. And the jazz rooms were open. Monday night was was jazz night.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean,
What about
on Lincoln Avenue, man, there was
Was
Orphans.
Exchequer a big hang for musicians? You know, that's on Wabash.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's right next to where Frank's was, so that's just a... Because you must have been going to Frank's at least sometimes, right?
Oh, that's where I would go on my breaks at the
That'd
conservatory.
be your shop. Yeah.
And mainly Crowden's.
Yeah, sure.
Bill,
Exchequer's the bar and restaurant. The
I
pub
remember
that
it being
It's
there,
still
yeah.
there. I know the family.
but there
who
were a
owns
lot of jazz clubs at the back room.
it. Yeah.
Orphans, the Jazz Cellar, Wise Fools. You know, there was just a lot of work to do, man.
Sure.
And all these incredible musicians in town. And then I hooked up with Bunky, and that was at my busiest time. I was mainly just playing jazz. I was playing with Janice had just started her band.
When did you two meet?
We met in we met in the early 80s.
Early, and then that would have been when not here yet.
We got together in 84.
Okay. Yeah. Oh no, I guess you would be in Chicago then.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, we met on a gig.
Awesome.
She was at that time, she was doing a lot of work for Playboy. She was working at the Atlantic City Club,
Cool.
the club up north at
Lake Geneva. Yeah.
Lake Geneva.
My dad may have played there a couple times.
Working this
way
club.
long ago, yeah.
And she was opening. She was opening for like Milton Berle, and
Sure.
and they were flying her to Atlantic City. You know, so
Very cool.
so she was like an opening act kind of a thing that she was doing.
Nice.
And so we met, and we put together her group with Frank Dawson, Bill Harrison, Kent Wayman, and myself.
Yeah.
And we did an album for Seabreeze, and which went through the roof.
Yeah.
Leonard Feather gave it 5 stars or 4 stars in the L.A. Times, and it was
Nice.
And I was
Good
working with
reviews.
them. I was working with the Chicago Jazz Quintet. I was working with Bunky Green's band. I was working with Clark Terry's group.
Nice.
So I was on the road a big part of the time with and it was very difficult to keep all those. Wait a minute, I can't do this, Clark. I'm with Janice that week, and it was like.
Oh man. Yeah.
But
Tell
it
me
was
about
great fun, man.
It's so hard keeping things organized.
Great fun, and then doing the camps in the summer, man, with all these incredible musicians. I mean, when I worked with Clark, man, it would be the quartet, but he'd bring on Frank West or James Moody, or he'd bring in all these people that I got to play with, man.
Yeah. This is awesome. Yeah, this is a really... I didn't know a lot of this stuff about your career, especially the earlier stuff, yeah.
Well, go to the website.
I read a little bit of it, yeah, but it's more interesting to hear it straight from you.
You know...
you got to tell me, do you have any fun drum shop stories from that time, either Crowden's
Well,
or
I was
Frank's?
doing an awful lot of music store demos for Yamaha.
Okay, cool. So when it was Pearl at first and then Yamaha later, when was the year
Pearl,
you switched
and
over?
then I was working for Pearl, and they really weren't building jazz instruments.
Sure, that's not a big surprise, yeah.
You know, that little
Oh, the one you
Rosewood-
just brought today is pretty
that's
close.
the only
yeah.
one they ever built. You know, I don't know. But at the time, Jim Coffin was working for Premier,
Premiere, okay.
and Ed Sof and I, we had the camp thing wrapped up between us.
Okay.
We were doing all the major camps.
Sure.
And Jim Coffin, smart man that he is, said, I want these guys playing Premier drums at these camps so that students will see him and buy, you know. So he called Ed and I said, yeah, I'm looking for a jazz instrument, man. So
Premiere, you're saying?
yeah, so we signed with Premier.
Oh, so you did Premiere for a little while. They make good stuff.
The hardware was awful.
Oh, you didn't like the hardware?
Pot metal, man. It was.
Yeah, it was break.
But I played a set of what they call resonators.
Yeah, those are cool drums. I've had
Great.
those before. You probably they probably didn't even make 18s or 20s.
Except when you had to change if you broke something.
Yeah.
Oh man, then
There's
you
a
had
cavity inside of it, right?
there's a space.
Yeah.
It's a double shell drum.
Right.
Sounded great.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed those.
They're rare, too. You don't see those ever.
No, you don't. I sold mine to a guy in Oklahoma years ago.
They're not worth a lot because, like, they're just not a Ludwig, But, yeah, they're still really cool.
Yeah.
What size was your kit? I'd love to see, like, a 20 one of those.
It was an 18.
Oh, you had an 18. That would be cool. That'd be pretty cool.
And then Jim went with Yamaha.
Okay. And he
wanted to take Soph and I with him, so we did.
Yeah.
So
Yamaha makes great stuff too. They have the.
I love that company. At the time, I thought they came as close as anybody to sounding like the old Brooklyn Gretsch.
Okay, yeah. They
had that sound.
No reinforcement hoops, and then they're always really. They love the way they.
I've been with them since 1981.
What was your first kit you got from them?
It was a birch set.
Birch, okay.
In fact,
so that would be like were they calling that touring custom at that point?
Could have been.
Yeah, I think that's called touring
Yeah.
custom. I had this massive purple touring custom.
Oh, wow.
So cool. I wish if it would have been a small kit, I might have taken it for myself, but it was like
and that's an unusual color, man.
Yeah, like a royal purple. I don't know exactly what you call it.
And then Jim, when they were pushing the recording customs, because they had GAD.
Those are the high end, the top and the top.
That was the top of the line.
Yeah.
So Jim said, "We'd like you to play those." And I said, "Great, man! I love those drums."
Sure.
So he sent me the set.
And that's the one
that you just sold.
Yeah, cool.
18-inch bass drum.
We'll probably find a picture of that and put it up too, just for fun.
Yeah.
And
I didn't play that very long.
Right.
Because then he called me again, and he said, what would you like? And I said, I like wood finishes, man.
Sure.
He said, good, because we're coming out with a maple custom, and I think you'll love them.
Yeah, me too. I like wood finishes.
And I still have that instrument.
And then what is that? Is that just like a lacquer over maple, or is it stained?
It's a gloss finish.
Gloss finish. Is it stained like green, or I know sometimes
mine is maple, natural maple.
Oh, that must be beautiful. Yeah. Does
Gorgeous.
it have those little square lugs, or is it they're kind of like brass looking lugs?
And
that's like the showcase kit, except
and the first Art Deco drum keys.
Yeah, I know those. Those are cool.
And bass drum T-rods. And I still have that instrument.
You had all Yamaha stuff at the school too. I mean, that was probably something you did.
Yeah,
made sure that they were.
And so it came with an 18-inch bass drum.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, down the road,
die-cast hoops, I think too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Down the road, I got it in my head that I wanted a 16-inch bass drum.
16, yeah, sure. You sound like my friend Eric Binder. Yeah, he's always going for the tiny bass drums.
And I tried turning 16-inch toms around, and they just sounded like 16-inch toms laying on their side.
Sure.
So I got a hold of Hagi, who was, he was Mr. Yamaha Drums.
Okay. Was he like the head of the company?
Head of Yamaha Drums.
Yeah.
In Osaka.
Okay.
So we got a hold of Hagi, and I said, I want a 16-inch bass drum. And he said, oh, no, Jackson, we're not going to build no goddamn 16-inch bass drums. Well, at the time, Jim Coffin had retired.
Okay.
And a guy named David Vai was head of artist relations at Yamaha. And David bought into it.
All right.
And David just went to work on Hagi. Took us 3 years.
I wonder why he was so against it. He just thought it was silly.
I don't know. I don't know, because they'd have to do something to,
Be expensive, yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
Tool up like that, yeah.
And David finally wore him down.
Hey, so you got him to do it.
He built me a 16-inch bass drum. I have it, maple custom bass drum.
So it's the same as your other kit. It's like a maple lacquer.
Yeah.
Cool. That might be like close to one of a kind. Yeah, pretty rare probably.
I'll get to that, man. You're good. This is amazing. Everybody says Janice is going to be a rich widow someday. So I've got the set still.
Sure.
It's got an 18-inch bass drum. I got a 16-inch bass drum. So
sure.
So down the road, I got a call from maybe Jay Wanamaker. I don't know. He was at that time head of. I have been through so many artist relations guys at Yamaha.
Sure.
So I got a hold of Jay. Called me and he said, I think it was Jay. And at that time, Hagi had retired. They have forced retirement in Japan.
Oh, okay.
65 and you're done.
Yeah, and you're kind of loyal to your company in Japan. I think is that usually how it like they stick
appreciate
to one
loyalty,
company
man.
for a while. Yeah, it seems like it's kind of an interesting culture. Yeah,
It's an
I'd love
interesting
to learn
concept,
more about
you know.
Japanese culture.
And-
I'll visit Japan someday, maybe.
So
If any of my
They
friends from
replaced
Japan are
him.
listening, hello. I got a couple buddies. That
they replaced
have been
him
to the shop.
with two guys,
Yeah.
Sato and Son.
Okay.
He said, they're coming into town for the Midwest and they'd like to meet with you. So Janice and I went down to, they'd moved to McCormick Place by that time,
NAM show.
the Midwest.
Yeah. This is the NAM show?
No, Midwest.
Midwest.
Midwest Bandmasters.
Okay. Is that even still happening at all?
Oh, yeah.
Where is it now?
At the McCormick.
So it's still at McCormick. We
Yeah.
never go to that. I
Yeah.
don't know why. Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you sure they don't do that? Oh, no. I think that they do that now in, because I think Madeline goes to that. Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestra. They might go.
Probably.
Yeah, they do that now because I went with her.
Yeah.
In, what is it? Peoria, right?
No.
Maybe? Or is that something
No,
different?
that's
I'm thinking-
IMEA.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking of something totally different. So
No, they do it every
Forget about it, everybody.
every December just before Christmas.
It's just, if it's so convenient, then why don't we go to it?
I don't know.
Maybe I'll go sometime. Maybe
You
I'll
should.
go. Is it cool? You
Not as cool as it used to be. It used to be at the Hilton,
okay?
and it was really cool.
Yeah.
And that's when all those guys were alive.
Sure.
You know, Lenny DiMuzio, Jim Coffin,
Yeah.
Lloyd McCausland.
Is it just a trade show where people?
Yeah.
Kind of, and then is it mostly educators?
Yeah,
or
it is.
Okay, it's almost all educators. I think that's
Yeah.
why we don't go, because we just
But there's booths there.
we don't
I
sell it.
mean,
We don't do a ton with it. We do some, but
there's
yeah.
manufacturing booths there, you know.
We should go.
So
We should get a
anyway,
booth.
I
Maybe
said,
next
yeah,
year.
I'd love to meet with them.
Yeah.
So I met with them, and they'd say, we'd really like you to be playing the new Phoenix series. And I said, man, I played the Phoenix series. I said, I'd love those. That's an incredible instrument.
What kind of wood are those?
It's a composite wood of like 4 different kinds of
I've heard of them.
babinga, and I mean,
I don't even know anything
it's
about
a lot
them.
of bunch of African woods and things. They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're incredible sounding.
When did they come up with those? It was like 90s?
Oh, I don't remember. But I said, will you build me a 16-inch bass drum?
Sure.
And they said, no, we don't build custom drums anymore. And I said, well, respectfully, I'll continue to play
The other.
my Maple Customs.
Sure.
So we parted company. And I continued to play the Maple Customs. But
I think I've seen your kit, because I think you may have had it
Probably.
at the show I saw. Yeah, because it was with the faculty band, so
could have been.
I think it was that kit. It's-
So several years ago, I thought, I wonder if I can get a Phoenix series that kind of matches my Maple Custom bass drum.
Sure. What's the outer ply on those? Is it like a darker wood?
It's this. It's that. That's
Ooh,
the
that's,
Phoenix.
that's beautiful. Yeah.
That's the Phoenix.
Some kind of, it's like a burl or something. Oh, it's all these pictures.
So it's got the old sunburst.
And it looks like did
pattern.
you get them to?
That's a 16.
You convinced them to do a 16? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
It's beautiful.
I really didn't convince them.
So how did it work out?
I got a hold of Greg Crane, who's head of artist relations at Yamaha now.
Okay.
And I said, Greg, could you send me a small tom and a floor tom that would match my 18-inch Maple Custom? He says, yeah, I'll check into it. And a few days later, he calls me back and he said, Jack, they're going to build you a Phoenix set with the 18-inch bass drum.
From all those.
And I said, you're kidding. He said, no, they're going to build it for you.
Wow.
And I said, why? He said, you know the Japanese. He says, I think this is their way of saying, we appreciate your loyalty
Oh, sure. Yeah,
for
yeah.
all those years.
Been with them for so long,
when you
yeah.
could have gone with somebody else and you didn't.
That's cool that it, yeah. We were talking about
Maybe
that.
that's just a conjecture. We don't know that that's why. And all of a sudden these things land
They're beautiful.
And
Yeah.
and to play them is just
What year did you get these? This particular kit, is it fairly recent?
5 years maybe.
Because I think that's a new. I don't think that the Phoenix. That's what they call
That was
it.
the original finish.
I don't
for
even know anything
Phoenix.
about Phoenix Yamaha. I don't think I've ever had one in here
They're
before.
incredible.
Yeah, they look beautiful, man.
They're absolutely amazing drums.
Yeah, I love it.
And in fact, the cover,
That's the finish there.
that's the finish.
Yeah, for
and
everybody.
Yamaha loves that, you know.
We'll pop one of those pictures on there too at the end. Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful, Jack. You
Oh,
got
yeah, no,
Jack Mouse on the.
Oh, I had
badge.
no idea they were going to do that because Hoggy didn't do that on the 18-inch bass drum, the 16-inch bass drum.
Very cool.
I had no idea they were going to do that. And I was
love it.
I was really humbled by that.
That's awesome. Cool, man. And then Sabian, what's your go-to ride right now? You use Artisan, probably.
No, I'm using an old 22-inch Manhattan.
Manhattan. I think that's an older series. I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with those. What are they like? Is it lots of hammering on there?
Well, I've been.
That it right there?
No, that isn't it.
It looks like an Artisan. Yeah. Maybe.
That's a prototype that I was kind of in on that didn't work out.
Oh, okay. But hey, you got something out of it. It looks like.
Well, it makes a good photo.
Sure.
But no, I'm playing an old 22-inch Manhattan.
Nice.
I'm using 13-inch hi-hats.
Yeah.
I've got this.
13. Why do you go with 13s?
They cut, man.
You just like them? Yeah.
Cut right through.
Nice chick sound.
And the 16-inch bass drum.
You put holes in your bottom hi-hats too.
Yeah.
See, I remember this about you. You told me this, and because you don't like the airlock.
Air pockets.
Yeah, that happens
I don't
to me a
need
lot.
that.
I'm trying to do videos sometimes.
I don't know why they don't do that to all of them.
Well, I usually just try and angle it, but sometimes even if you angle it, you have a problem.
You don't
with
have
that,
to.
especially really light hi-hats, really
don't have
lightweight
to.
hi-hats.
You don't have
Yeah.
to. Put holes in them, you don't have to.
You're right. I mean, Tony Williams used to do that.
Yeah.
4 on the floor hi-hat stuff.
Zildjian did it for years on the quick beats.
Yeah, quick beats. I'm trying to think of the possible disadvantages for it, and
I can't find any.
yeah,
Unless you want to turn them over.
right. Yeah, I guess there aren't really any disadvantages I can think about. It's
No.
yeah, because I don't think it really changes the sound too terribly. Maybe a tiny bit, but if you beat them before you drilled them in after, I don't think I'd be able to tell the difference
The China that I'm
when we're
using.
recording.
The China that I'm using is an 84. And I was with Zildjian at that time.
Yeah.
And I was in Montreux, Switzerland with Bunky Green's quartet,
Okay.
playing the Montreux Festival. And we actually started the Montreux Jazz Clinics over there, that quartet.
Okay.
So we were there for a week, man.
Awesome.
And so we're playing, we did 2 or 3 concerts, and we're playing an afternoon concert, and this guy comes up to me, and he said, and he's Scottish,
Okay.
and he come to find out he was the Sabian rep there.
Oh, nice.
And he said, if you'd like to come by, he says, I have a showroom. If you'd like to come by and pick out a cymbal, I'd love to give you one. And I thought, well, that's very kind of you, and I'd love to do that. But I was a little bit nervous about, and he gave me
Apprehensive.
directions.
Sure.
So Bill Harrison was playing bass. I said, you're going to go with me on this.
You don't know who this guy is?
Yeah, but
Strange
sure enough,
Scottish man.
sure enough, he went up these stairs, and he had a room. And
Sure.
so I've always wanted a China.
Nice.
So I picked out this China.
Oh, so it is a Sabian. Yeah,
It is.
Okay, I see.
And
I thought you were going to say it's a Zildjian because
No, it's a Sabian.
Yeah,
And I put rivets in it,
right.
and it opened it up, and it's killing, man.
You use that a lot of the times to like give that last.
I don't
string.
ride with it. It's an 18-inch, and I don't ride on it.
Right.
But man, I mean,
Mel Lewis have a China?
oh yeah,
always?
Mel.
That's really what I'm asking. Do you
Mel
use
had
it
a
like
20
Mel? Do you use it like
that he rode
that?
on.
Yeah. And then is that the what's the Swiss knocker?
Schweischnacker.
That's a 22, but I don't.
It's a 22.
They kind of based on his, maybe. I'm not even sure.
I don't know.
Because at the especially with like a big band or like a 9-piece band, it can be very helpful to have that.
Oh,
extra...
I would. Yeah, I just run out of stands.
Sure. These look like, are those weird like a Yamaha ultralight ones?
Oh, absolutely.
You like those? Yeah.
Oh, man.
I've never seen one. They have an odd design. Never
Oh
seen anything like
man, where were they when I needed them?
I guess maybe Sonar made something like that earlier on, didn't they?
I
Someone
think
did.
there
Trixon,
are other
maybe?
companies now making light weights.
It's just
These
that
are
particular design.
They're titanium.
Oh, they're titanium. Jeez, those must have been expensive.
Someone told me, and I don't know whether this is true,
Light too. It's
that that was designed at the Yamaha motorcycle factory.
okay, yeah, being
That
titanium.
alloy that they use.
That's one great advantage they have. They have the greater company that they can, ask. Like,
We're all going to be
use the resources
Yamaha
of-
hamburgers someday, isn't
sure.
it? But the Crosstown hardware is amazing, man.
It looks cool. I'll have to get some of those. People have, I think, asked on about it over the phone before.
It's absolutely incredible.
It's very light.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can pick up my hi-hat with the cymbals on one hand and wave it around.
They do a great job with hardware. Everybody always elects to put a Yamaha tom mount on their Craviatos because there's no proprietary Craviato one. So very often, yeah, Yamaha will be that. It's just such a nice kind of
You see a lot of
functional mount.
Tell me if I'm right, if you agree. I see a lot of Yamaha hardware on, like on the drum chats and things on the internet.
Sure.
You'll see a Gretsch set, but it's got Yamaha cymbal stands and stuff.
Oh yeah, all the time.
You see that all the time.
Definitely.
But yeah, this
Well-made stuff.
Crosstown stuff is amazing.
Yeah, the Yamaha drums, they're very live. Some of the times, yeah, it's like they're so resonant. Which
And the
for
Phoenix
me,
are doubling that.
yeah, yeah. But lots of resonance.
They're
How do
just-
you tune your bass drum? How do you tune your drums? I'm curious.
Well, I don't-
You don't have to give me all the secrets, but anything you feel free to
I don't.
put out there.
I don't like the word tuning.
Tuning, okay.
Tuning, you tune pianos.
Sure.
You tune saxophones. Tuning implies a pitch.
Right, which not really necessarily.
Now,
going
I know
for.
guys who tune to pitches.
Sure.
I can't do that. Man, if I tune,
We don't do that here either, really. Sometimes, but very
tune my
rarely.
small tom
Yeah,
to a B flat,
yeah.
somebody lays down a C major chord,
Right.
and it conflicts with me.
So yeah, if you're gonna
I tension them.
E flat is okay, F is okay, and
No.
then maybe G
I try to avoid pitches.
if you're playing jazz.
I just try to
Not
avoid
country.
them.
Yeah.
And I use the term tensioning.
Okay. Yeah.
I tension
sure.
the drums. It's real simple. I tension the top head to the stick response I like.
Sure.
Then I tension the bottom heads to the sound I want.
I just don't pay attention. I get it to sound the way I like it,
There you
and then I
go.
like it in relationship to each other.
There you go.
The drums kind of want to go a certain place, and then it happens to be this pitch, but I didn't plan that.
No, I know.
It just is. Yeah, that's kind of, so I'm totally on the same. And then if you actually try to tune it to a pitch, it might not work out so well. It might actually sound like crap.
I know when it's right. I know when I like it.
Yeah. Do
But-
you muffle a lot? And then what kind
I
of
don't.
heads?
I don't muffle anything. I use strip muffling on the bass drum.
And the power stroke on the batter, maybe. It might just be in that picture. I don't know if you usually use that.
No,
Just like a
No.
coated ambassador or
No.
something like that.
no. I use Aquarian modern vintage thins.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool.
Those Aquarian.
I got to restock Aquarians. I like.
well,
their
I
heads.
mean, not that my teacher made them.
Yeah, man, totally.
In fact,
You have to.
I was with Remo for a long time, and I loved Lloyd McCausland.
Yeah.
Lloyd was one of those guys, man. And Janice and I would run into Roy at trade shows, NAMM shows, things like that.
So he was. I'm not familiar with him. Was he the
Roy Burns.
Oh, okay, Roy. Okay, yeah, I know Roy, but
And so he was running the Aquarian booth there,
Okay, sure, yeah.
So we stopped by and say hi, and
Yeah, we got some videos by him
he's
talking about his heads. And
yeah. So we're at a trade show, and we stopped by to say hi to Roy, and he looked at me and said, "Why aren't you with us?"
Sure.
And I said, "I don't know, man. A drumhead's a drumhead." And the minute I said it, I thought, "You idiot."
Oh, geez.
How dare you say that to someone who builds drum heads, man?
Sure.
And he
probably had a couple words for
and
you.
he looked at me and said, "You're just as dumb as you were when you were 5 years old." He said,
funny.
"I am sending you a set of heads."
And so what did he send you?
He sent me the modern vintage thins.
Modern
I put
vintage,
them on the
yeah.
drums, and it was
Oh,
like
so he likes the thins.
it was like getting a new set of drums.
Nice. I like the thins better than the mediums, probably. Yeah.
Depends on what I'm using them for,
Yeah.
you know.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny because Remo, their diplomats are even thinner, it seems like. But I don't know if that's technically true. It's just the coating's different.
The Aquarian head is a tucked head.
Tucked head, okay, yeah.
It's tucked. On that flesh hoop, it's tucked. Then,
Almost made more like a calfskin head, maybe?
yeah,
bit
exactly
like
like a calfskin head.
Yeah.
The other heads that we're not talking about, we're not mentioning names. The other heads, if you notice, they pull out from the rims every now and then,
They're
and you
glued.
see these holes.
Okay, yeah.
They just set them in the head and drop glue in.
Yeah, it's a little different, yeah.
Once I set an Aquarian head, it stays there.
Yeah, man. And I also...
The brush surface is amazing.
Oh, they last. They last a while. Now, my one complaint would be like breaking it in. The Aquarian's a little longer to break it in. So I always, if I'm doing a new
In terms
Aquarian,
of a brush?
it's too much response at first. Until
Oh, no, I just...
But that's every head.
I take a brush and do this.
I was going to say. That's what I was about to say.
Oh, no.
You got to do that with every head. Aquarians are just a little more maybe than a Remo because
Yeah,
they're...
it takes me 10 minutes. You know?
Yeah, right. Just for anyone listening, if you ever get a brand new head, don't play brushes on there because it'll like blow your head off.
Oh, it does. It does that.
Yeah.
It does that, but they last forever.
Yeah, they're great. I like it. They were maybe the first company that thought it would be a good idea to make heads that will fit on vintage drums. That's actually another great thing
Roy's
that they
a
did.
drummer.
Yeah, we used to put them on every round badge Gretsch kit that came in. We would put American vintage, not modern vintage, but American vintage.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. And I got to stock some more of those up. Now everyone's doing it. Now it's like the new cool thing.
They're a little more expensive,
Yeah,
but they last
Aquarians.
longer.
They do, yeah. Yeah, they're awesome. I'm going to do a bunch of demo videos just for fun. And I'm going to do like Remo versus Evans versus Aquarian.
Oh, that would be cool,
Maybe
man.
a
Oh,
tap.
do that.
Yeah, it was just for fun.
Oh, and
you
you
know?
would be good at that because you know the products.
Yeah, I do. I order everything for here. and
You know.
All that kind of stuff is that's my responsibility. I'm the one who orders all the sticks and heads and that kind of
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. What do you use for brushes? What do you like? What brushes do you?
Well, I used to use Regal Tip, but Regal Tip's gone now.
I heard that. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much, as far as I know.
Oh,
I haven't been. I've talked to like maybe 20 distributors. No one knows anything. I have like I have extra, but I used to use their sticks and I used their brushes. I used Regal Tip jazz
Well,
sticks.
I was
so
with the
a little
sticks.
depressed
I was
about
with
that.
Regal Tip for a long time.
They make good like for press rolls. I
It's
like their sticks
it's
for
a
press
brush
rolls.
company.
Brush company. Well, yeah, their brushes
The
are
stuff
the
I got would
ubiquitous
be
brush.
they would send me
Everyone uses the brush.
boxes of, and they would either be warped or.
Oh, the sticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. You know why that is?
And that's finally
They're-
why I went back
Yeah.
to Vic.
Their machines they never replaced them apparently. Now this is what I heard. I don't know if this is entirely true. And then about 3-4 years ago, they were trying to retool everything. And then,
Wow.
like
And don't get me
everything
wrong, man.
went to, so that, I think they may be a victim of the last 2-3 years of what's been going on.
Well, and don't get me wrong, man. I loved Carol Collado, man. She was a great lady, is a great lady. And leaving Regal Tip was tough.
yeah.
I still,
Collado, yeah, that's and if they come back, I'll go back probably. I've been using Vic Firth now. They have the purple brushes, the purple handle. It's almost
I like
the
a
same.
wood. I like a wood handle brush.
Oh, you like a wood handle? Okay, well, yeah. If you want to get some Regals, I might have a couple left. I don't think so. You should look.
I've got a bunch of them. They're, if you go online,
yeah.
I
You take
order.
care of them. They'll actually last forever.
Huh?
They'll last forever, brushes. I mean, if you don't,
Well,
you got to take good care of them.
you know,
put them back in their
A
tube.
lot of people don't like wood handle brushes. There are things I don't like about them. In fact, I have submitted a design
Oh,
to Vic Firth to say this is we'll take care.
you have non-retractable ones. That's what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually what I don't like about them. They
Well,
don't
this
retract.
this is a funny story too. I was watching the Count Basie Trio on Jazz Casual,
Okay.
you know, and man, here's Sonny Payne, and he's got this brush and he's fanning the hi-hat.
I don't know how to do that.
And I'm thinking, God, I got to learn to do that.
With one hand?
Yeah.
Or like...
No. Closed hi-hat, doing...
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
And I'm going, Jesus,
Don't know how to do it.
I got to learn to do that. Now, I'm a quick study, and if I work on something hard enough, I was in tears in my basement for months. Could not do it. So I get a call from Joe Testa, who was head of Yamaha Artist Relations,
Sure.
and said, Jack, we're doing an artist photo session in New York. If you'd like to come back, we'd love you to be a part of it. Well, nobody's going to pay my, but we decided, yeah, we hadn't been to New York for a while, let's go.
Sure.
And at the time, Yamaha Piano had a big kind of a showroom in the village. Well, they cleared all that out, and they had this Yamaha drum reception there. And they're taking photos. In fact, I don't know, you may have seen it. There was a big campaign about Yamaha drummers sitting on these big sets, and I'm sitting on a cymbal and, photograph things,
Sure.
But they had food and everything, and
Nice. Charcuterie.
I mean, yeah, and Elvin's there, and Roy Haynes is there,
Sure.
and Ben Riley's there, and I'm sitting there talking with Ben. And I said, Ben, I can't do that. He said, no, you can't do that with the brushes they make anymore. I said, what? He said, no, the gauge says they're too thick.
Oh, so you need thinner.
Yeah.
I do like thin gauge brushes, yeah.
You can't buy thin gauge brushes hardly.
Can't get them that thin anymore?
No.
Even what do you think of the... So what do you use now then? Did you figured it out, I imagine?
I'm using a Regal tip
Wood handle.
wood handle, but I can't do that.
And that's the thinnest it gets that you've...
The thinnest I found.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the problem...
Were his rubber handle or wood handle?
Oh, he was using rubber handle. This was before.
Because they didn't even have wood handle back then.
No.
Yeah, they actually were more like
No, they were
plastic.
retractable. I've never been
Plastic.
fond of retractable brushes.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to rattle.
Because, yeah, remember those red ones? The ones with, like, the red grippy...
Yeah.
That's probably, he had something like that.
Premier, in the 50s, built a really good
Good brush?
thin brush. Yeah. And built a great stick called the Premier E. They were made out of lancewood.
Lancewood, oh. That's different.
It's an English tree or something.
Sure, their equivalent of hickory.
Yeah. And I still have a pair of them at home.
Ah.
I don't use them because I don't want to break them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like that now with all my Regal Tip stuff. I'm like not even using it anymore. I'm just I'll just have to get used. I've got like maybe 20 pairs of sticks.
So the reason a lot of people
Now they're a piece of history.
don't get along with wood handle brushes
Yeah.
is because they will turn in your hand.
Yeah.
All right, until you get used to them.
Not quite as sticky. I actually, I
Well,
don't
I mean-
mind playing with them. Actually, I think they're a little easier to play than the rubber brushes. I like the retractable nature. There's a couple different things. Sometimes I'll do things where where you hit it and it goes,
Flex stroke.
yeah, you can't really do that as easily with wood handle. That's one thing.
Sure you can.
How do you make it not
I do it all
click?
the time.
Put your finger on it or something?
No, I'll show you when we go in.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
No, I use flex strokes all the time.
Okay, I never heard it called that before.
Yeah,
But yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
So consequently, the reason I like them is because, number one, it always felt weird to me to put down a pair of sticks and pick up a pair of rubber handles.
Sure.
I like picking up a stick.
And now they're purple. Now I'm using the purple ones. Yeah. Simply does not go with my drum set.
So yeah, people hear what they see. I don't know. So
I don't mind. I actually like them. They're cool.
So to me, I like the feel of the wood in my hand.
Yeah.
Make them, rather than making them round, make them oval.
Oh, okay.
So that
That's your
ergonomically,
invention, yeah.
ergonomically they fit the hand, and they don't turn in your hand.
Right. Because a drumstick, it doesn't matter if it turns.
Right, it turns all the time. drumsticks in your hand turn all the time. You don't care.
That'd be expensive to do because you can't lathe that if it's not round, you know?
Yeah, I know.
You'd have to CNC it maybe.
I don't
They
know.
could do it though.
I don't know.
have Vic Firth do it, although.
Well, now that Vic is gone, and and it's owned not by Vic Firth anymore. It's owned by
Who owns Vic Firth right now?
Zildjian.
Zildjian, that's right. Yeah, the drum companies, they all kind of consolidate sometimes. Like DW owns Slingerland and the Gretsch distribution rights. And like,
And, there's another guy that's sorely missed is Vic Firth.
Yeah.
Whenever I would do a recording, either with Janice's band or my band or somebody's band, Dan Hurley's trio.
Do you use their sticks now?
Oh, yeah.
They do make, they're so perfect
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really well-made
Yeah.
drumsticks. State of the art.
The wood is good. You
Yeah.
know, and I think that was
They're
another.
lighter. I don't know what it is.
I think that was another problem with Regal Tip is I'm not sure the quality of wood they were getting was.
Yeah, and the old machines, maybe it had something to do with how long they were keeping it before they machined it. Because I know there's moisture in it, and then you make it, and then the moisture leaves. Sometimes and it's just a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't even. I love the way the jazz ones are shaped, just the Regal Tip Jazz, and they're also lacquered, which I kind of liked actually. The lacquer makes them last a little longer.
Yep.
It makes the tip last longer.
Yep.
Because if you play on a cymbal a bunch, jazz stuff, the tip gets soft. And then you don't get the same attack anymore.
However,
the lacquer
do
makes
you
it
not
a
think
little
that
tougher.
has more to do with the shape of the tip?
Well, there's that. That's really important. And they're different. The ones I'm using.
Well, that's
now
the other thing, man, is
acorn.
that finding a flat tip stick is very difficult anymore.
What type of Vic Firth do you use? Flat
It's just
tip.
I'm using the new freestyles.
Do you mean barrel tip? Is that the one you like?
freestyles?
Freestyle.
Everything is about the flattest you can almost get anymore is the acorn shape.
Acorn. That's what I've been using. Just the 7A
Yeah, me
standard.
too.
Yeah.
And I've used the 7A freestyles,
Yeah.
and I like those a lot.
Are they like a little longer or something? Freestyle.
A little bit, yeah.
That's
You get it.
Actually, I should
but you
get
don't have to
those.
reach so far.
Yeah, sure. I like them for press rolls a little bit because when it's a little bit longer, it's a little more back weighted.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you see, that's the other problem I find that I don't like about a lot of retractable brushes.
Yeah.
The weight's in the back.
Oh yeah, it's really bad. It's so
And
hard
it's
to
bad
doubles.
throw.
Yeah.
The throw with a brush needs to be in the front of the brush.
Yeah.
With a wood handle brush, the weight's up front.
Yeah, it's a little more like a stick would be. Yeah.
The weight's up front.
Yeah.
Excuse me, allergies.
No problem.
So there's a lot of things in the works, man.
Well, yeah, this has been great, Jack. If you want to go into anything more, it's around 4-ish. So I think it's been awesome. I really like. Yeah,
Oh, it's
got
fun,
some
man.
Nice insights into your ideas on music, and then hear about all the cool things you're doing. Thanks for coming.
Well, I'm just grateful for you guys
We're happy to be
to
here.
be in business, man. I mean, there's no place like this in the world. Every drummer should give tours, man, and charge for tours through this place. I mean, really.
I do give tours. I don't charge.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was in Cub Scouts,
Okay.
and they would take you to the police station or the fire station, and
Oh, sure. just
they
to
should bring
see.
their Cub Scouts over here and man, show them.
Sure. Yeah.
know?
Someday you could run a drum shop if you wanted to. Yeah, sure. You could be a policeman. You could be a fireman. You could be a drummer.
Really, like I say, I tell people, the Maxwells have the best job in the world, man. And the service that you guys provide to the music and to the craft, man, is invaluable.
Oh, yeah, we
To
try.
to everyone, man. I mean, so thank you to all you guys for being here and doing this.
Oh yeah, sure. My dad's probably over in the other shop. Maybe you can.
Well, let's go over and break his leg about those pearls.
Sure. Yeah, I think he's gonna be excited about them.
All right, Steve.
Well, yeah, Jack.
Thanks for
Well,
having thanks for having
we
me
wish
in.
you
And
good luck on the move and everything. I'm sure it'll be great.
yeah, and like I say, we'll be in and out of Chicago probably
Yeah.
as much as we are anyway.
Definitely, yeah. Make sure to come by.
Are
Let me
you
know. Let me know if
kidding?
you're playing somewhere. I'll come in. I'm real busy with the 2 kids, but I'd love to come check you out.
Bring your kids.
Yeah, especially if it's friendly for kids, that would be maybe if it's like outdoors or something because they're a little loud, especially Arthur.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it's like a
No, man.
like they wouldn't they're too young to do the jazz showcase. Although maybe the matinee.
I tell people, bring your children.
Yeah, my kids love jazz. Lily
Bring
says
your
she loves
children,
jazz.
you know.
Yeah. She's like,
this
what's
is-
that on the radio, Daddy? That's jazz.
Well,
Ooh, I like
I
this.
mean, John Laporta used to tell me. Like I say, I hear that man's voice in my ear.
Sure.
John Laporta used to say, "There's 2 kinds of music, good and bad, and that depends on how well you play it."
Sure.
Don't tell me that Neil Peart can't play. He could.
Yeah.
He's a great drummer. He's a rock drummer, but great drummer.
Sure.
Don't, it depends on whether it's played with conviction,
Yeah, man.
Come on. And I was talking with Janice that there used to be, down around Berwyn, some Polish bars late night, and you go in, and there'd be some old Polish
Polka?
guys playing polkas,
Polka stuff, yeah.
but
It's cool
playing
stuff.
it real. I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
think you can play polkas? Go listen to those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys play polkas. What we're doing is like a cartoon.
Sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, right on.
So, yeah, people ought not to be snobs, man.
Yeah.
Listen to all kinds of music. I see people say, "Well, I don't like jazz." That's what you mean, I don't like jazz. What jazz have you heard? Well, I've been over to the high school and
Oh, yeah.
and,
Probably
and,
not. Yeah. Maybe that
and
wasn't
I've
the
been
best
to
chance.
I've been to Starbucks to listen to the.
Yeah.
Then you don't know what it is.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Some people, and even if they think they don't like jazz, they actually do probably because jazz will get you. It's there, and you'll be listening. You'll
Well,
be
they don't
watching a
under- they don't
movie or something, and
understand
then
it.
it'll be there, and it'll make you feel a certain way, but you don't even notice it. Yeah.
They're not taught to understand it. That jazz is a compositional art form. What you're going to hear music that will only be played once.
Sure. Yeah.
I remember being on, and this is real quick, and I'll get out of here. Being on tour with,
I don't have anywhere to go.
Jack Riley's trio. And we're in Norway, I think. Mm-hmm. And he had a hit over there on a tune that he wrote called Halloween.
Okay.
It's a drum feature.
Nice. My favorite holiday, actually. I love Halloween.
So we're setting up, and this guy walks up to me, and he said, "Are you guys going to play Halloween tonight?" And I said, "Well, I'm sure we will." He says, "Oh, great." He says, "Are you going to play the same drum solo you played on that tune, on the record?"
Right, yeah. Yeah. Then you ever play a gig where they want you to play the exact same drum fill, like note for note? It's like, can I just change it a little bit?
No, that I can't remember.
Right, I can't even remember. I know exactly what you mean, Jack. Yeah.
So,
that's a stylistic thing, yes. And yeah, in jazz, you'll do many more notes, but then rock, the fact that it's that exact fill, it has to be every time, is just part of the tune. It's part of the tune. Yeah, we can think of many rock.
We have to
songs
educate
like that.
people.
They're different things, and they're both cool.
Yeah.
Me personally, though, I love being able to improvise. Like if I'm playing the same song every night, it would be awesome if someone in the audience was there both nights and they didn't even know it was the same song. That would actually be cool for me.
Well, that's why we're so enthralled with playing free music
yeah, for sure.
with people who know how to do it.
Sure, yeah.
Because free music can start sounding like noise if you're not careful.
Right, everyone doesn't always have to play at the same time.
Well,
That's one thing that-
not only that, but our philosophy, and the reason, Three-Story Sandbox, that was a downbeat editor's pick,
Nice.
and we thought, really?
So this is more free. This is kind of
Oh no, it's all free.
cool, man. Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. It's way different than the other stuff I have. from you.
No, the duetting is all free.
Okay, yeah. This one's a little less so. This one more so.
No,
Both of them?
just different people.
Okay.
Just different. It's just a duo, and then it's a trio.
Nice.
No. And we title them after they're played. But our philosophy is, we believe that free music ought to sound like it's written.
Sure, like a composition.
Written music ought to sound like it's
free.
improvised.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Let's get out of here.
Cool. Let's go see my dad. All right.
Thank you,
Cool,
Stephen.
Jack. Thanks for coming again.
All right,
Bye,
man.
everybody.